Hello, everybody. Welcome to our countdown to 100,000 subscribers. Officially, that number is not really correct. It's because the API only allows people to see within 100 of the count. So our actual official count as of this very second, let me check on it, we are at 99,934 subscribers. And I am going to keep streaming. I'm going to stay live online until we hit 100,000. I've already warned my wife about this, my kids. I've kissed them all goodbye because I'll probably be here for quite a long time. But I figured, you know what? Let's give it a shot, see what it does. I'm going to go take these earpieces out. I'm going to take one earpiece out because 2 earpieces is just too much. Let's try that again. Okay, so now we got 1 earpiece in. So for those of you who just joined, we are doing a 100,000 subscriber countdown right here on YouTube. It's taken a long time to get here, mostly because we kind of ignored our channel for 5 or 6 years in the middle there somewhere. But we came back strong in 2018, 2019, and that has driven us all the way to 100,000. And I couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you to everybody who has been watching. I'm not just going to stand here babbling. I've actually prepared a little thing where I'm going to do the top 10 countdown of the videos that were the most watched in 2019. And this will at least, tide us over a little bit until that ticker counts over to 100,000. Now, again, for those who just joined me, the tickers that they make publicly available, they round to 100. So I actually have 99,934 subscribers currently. But as soon as we hit 100,000, that thing's going to tick over and say 100,000. And at that point, we're going to party. But for right now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. And let's, before I really jump into this, how about I check to make sure that the stream is actually working and if anybody's actually joined yet. I basically just hit stream and haven't looked at it since. Let's see, they keep moving things around. Where is my live console these days? I know there's some people in there. Where's my live console? There's my live dashboard. Okay, so what do we got here? Stream is looking good. That's good. Counter's looking good. Oh, hey, everybody's in the chat room. Thanks for joining. This is awesome. I feel like, I can't do it without you guys. Actually, let me change the info. Let me take a second here to say, update the title of this to live countdown to 100,000 subscribers. I have friends with 1 million subscribers, but I have to say, I am so stoked about this. I know, like, Larry, you're like, 100,000, that's cute. But you know what? This is my time, okay? Join Ryan as he counts down to 100,000 subs with a top 10 most popular videos from 2019. That seems like something we can do, right? I think we should do that. Do I have to hit save here somewhere? I think I need to say somewhere. I think it's telling me to go to the live control room. I'm already in the live control room. I swear, YouTube is just wacky sometimes. Maybe I shouldn't have clicked that button. No, what are you doing? Sorry, YouTube's acting wacky here. Let me just go back to the thing here so I can actually see everybody. Okay, so it got rid of my description. Boy, I am not doing good with this. Okay, you know what? We'll just let the description say Auto News Live. I don't care. This is a countdown to 100,000. 200,000. Okay, will that stick? How do I make that stick? Sorry for a little behind the scenes. I have no idea what I'm doing kind of impression, but I really have no idea what I'm doing. Advanced? No, I don't want advanced. You know what? It's working. Why should I care? Let's just go ahead and get this done. So let's take a moment to look back at 2019. This past year, we produced 68 videos for you guys. And today, like I mentioned, for those of you who are just joining, I'm going to take a look at the 10 most popular in reverse order. I'm not ranking on views alone, though, here, because I think that going off of the metric of what was most watched, i.e. accumulated minutes of watch time, is kind of more interesting, because it not only shows what was clicked on, but what was actually watched. So let's go ahead and kick this off. But before I kick it off, maybe I'll answer some questions. Does anybody have any questions here? Let's see. Oh, those are nice. Getting boring. Sorry, Rally Bob, STI. I just got this thing kicked off, and I probably have about an hour or 2 hours to chew up here. So pardon me if I don't get right into it. But now I'm going to get into it. So let's look at this. We have number 10 video for 2018. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The number 10 video for 2019. Anybody want to make a guess what that one was? You can probably see it up in the corner here as I'm about to hit play on it. Oh, nope, these aren't in any particular order. It is the Honda Accord Touring. Let's see, can I, let's go to, no, I want to see me. That one, there we go. Honda Accord Touring. And I'm not sure why it still says live subscriber count. I thought I got rid of that text, but you know, whatever. The Honda Accord Touring, this video was very popular throughout 2019, but it is definitely the oldest video in the countdown. I mean, this thing came out in 2018. The car was good. I really enjoyed the car, actually. And it kind of shocked me, you know? It's like sometimes YouTube, I just don't understand YouTube. You know, what it considers to be a popular video. Some of this stuff is cringy, but what it considers to be a popular video is sometimes mind-boggling to me. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to what our number 9 video was. Number 9 was actually a 2020 video, which is kind of surprising because when you think about it, the 2020 videos don't have as much of a chance to gain views. And that is, yeah, it's the Kia Telluride. Let's go ahead and, or as many viewers told me, Telluride. I guess I kind of got a little sloppy with my pronunciation in this video quite a lot, calling it the Telluride, but it's the Telluride. You can tell I've never actually been to Telluride. This car was kind of funny because we had to schedule it twice, and then it eventually showed up. And it actually turned out to be way better than I kind of expected. Yeah, a lot of people said, you know, very good things about it. And historically, I found Kia's vehicles to actually be pretty good in certain ways. The all-wheel drive system, though, was really impressive on this thing for what it is, you know? Do I have any other notes on that one? Let's see, Telluride. No, not really. Let's go ahead and go on to the next one. And the number 8 in our 10 most popular videos from 2019 is something that I don't think a lot of us can afford. And that is the Lamborghini Urus. Now, this vehicle was a little different. We always get cars from manufacturers, but Lamborghini didn't have one of these here. So we reached out to the local, who was it, Lamborghini of Bellevue, and they loaned us one. They had a loaner. So this is actually a dealer loaner that we're reviewing, not something we normally do. But because of that, we had to be a little bit nicer to it. You know, it's not something that we could really kick around too much or take off roading. But also, it had summer tires. So legitimately, you can't take a car with summer tires off-roading. That's not nice to the tires. And other people do have to drive these vehicles. So, you know, we have to have a little bit of mechanical empathy. Let's check in on that subscriber count while we're here, while that thing's playing. Oh, 99,934. It's going to be a long afternoon. Okay, after the Lamborghini was... Who's calling me? Which one was that? After the Lamborghini was, yes, this one. sometimes videos don't really turn out like you expect them to. We set up for several shots to try to show the back wheels spinning of the RAV4, and it wouldn't. So that was a little surprising. Man, I needed a haircut there. Okay, let's see. So our number, which one is this? This is the number 7 video, is actually Toyota all-wheel drive explained. Now, what I probably should have specified a little more in the title was if this is all for their crossovers. This isn't for, this wasn't for like, you know, the 4Runner and those kind of things. Those things are their own special kind of wonderful. This was really more about like the RAV4 and the Highlander. Side note on Highlander, we are actually scheduled to get, we put in a request for the Highlander with snow tires. And so hopefully we'll get the 2020, why is it reminding me this now? We'll get the 2020 Highlander probably end of February, early March. And hopefully there's still enough snow up in the mountains to be able to do a proper snow review of that one. The issue around here in the Pacific Northwest, though, is that they plow massive piles of snow, so you can't access the forest roads when it starts to get snowy. So kind of the problem we have here is if there's no fresh snow, we don't have access to roads with snow because they basically block 90% of them around here. Now, I do have several roads that I think will be suitable if we need to go that direction. But, you know, hey, we'll just roll with it and see what we got. So that was number 7. That was our Toyota all-wheel drive explained video. Let's see, number 6 of our top 10 countdown from 2019. That was, which one do we got there? Oh, yeah, it's that one, right. I wouldn't be surprised if this particular video shows back up in a 2020 top video countdown because it's still doing really strong, lots of comments. Oh, that was fun. But it's the Volvo V60 Cross Country. Haldex all-wheel drive systems have really come a long way since the older, quite honestly, crummy ones. They put a lot of power to the back. And I think they're actually pretty good now. You know, honestly, for like 90% of what people are going to do, they are now fine. You don't really need to do too much, you know, with people aren't going to be climbing the cross-cut climb like we do. They're not. If they are, they're going to buy a 4Runner, or they should. Now, I shouldn't say they're not because side story here. Back when I was probably 10 or so, a friend's mom had a Volvo wagon, and they lived on this. They lived in Roche Harbor, San Juan Islands, where I grew up, and Roche Harbor is all private property. It's basically, it's not part of, it's private, basically. It's, so the roads are not maintained by the island road people. It's done, it's privately. So the fun thing about private property, yeah, kids can drive if they want to. So we did. We borrowed his mom's car, and we promptly got it stuck down a muddy road at about the age of 10. Really could have used all-wheel drive there. That would have been really, really helpful. It's probably a really good thing that we got stuck just as we went into the muddy road because I just can only imagine the trouble we would have gone into if we had success early. So thankfully, that was a big fail pretty quickly, and it kept us from trying that again anytime soon, especially when my friend had to walk home and ask his mother to call a tow truck. Sorry, Jay. Anyway, moving on. Our number 5 in the countdown is a 2019 Subaru Forester review. And I closed my window, so that was not good planning on my part. Let's see, where's my thing? Top 10. Subaru Forester review. Where'd that go? Aha, there we go. Sometimes doing press trips, like this was a press trip. Subaru invited a whole bunch of journalists to come out and to drive the Forester before it came out. Sounds great, right? Well, I had to get up at 6 a.m. to film this thing in the morning. I had to do all the park shots before the event kind of got started. And that's 3 a.m. So this is my face right here. This is my face at the equivalent of, oh, thank you, Takuma Sensei. Isn't this shirt cool? But anyway, that's my face that's the face of a guy who just woke up at the equivalent of 3 a.m. To film a car. And I was tired after a whole day of traveling to get out to the Carolinas. This was 2 or 3 days after the hurricane came through. And that ultimately actually, there was a different off-road test course that Subaru had set up. And they're usually pretty good with test courses that allow us to kind of test the different features of the vehicle. But in this case, they had a problem with the original location. So they have an alternate location, which is what you see in this video. The alternate location, honestly, it really wasn't great. It was, I'll fast forward to it. It's just basically driving on grass with various steepness. And, I got to give it to the event planners. They really pulled something out of nothing, which is great. But the benefit of this was that I was very unsatisfied with this as far as an off-road test. You can see this is a guy who's not satisfied with his off-road test. And so what I did is I created a new, I basically called them after the fact and created a new video specifically to test the all-wheel drive system and the dual mode X mode. And that was, of course, the Forester dual mode X mode, which really was the gateway to us getting more gritty with the details of these all-wheel drive systems and how they worked. Before that, I really wasn't sure if anybody cared. But the success of that video really said, yeah, people really care. And I started to really care. I've always really cared. But I mean, it's one of the points where you start really asking the questions of how these systems work from the manufacturers. And the funny thing is most of the time, the PR people have no idea. So you have to go through PR. You have to hopefully talk to an engineer. Hopefully there's a white paper you can read. And many cases there isn't. So in some cases, I know fully how the system's going to work in advance. In other cases, I don't know how the system's going to work because there's no documentation as to how any of it functions. Subaru's always been pretty good in giving us access to their engineers. So over the years, I've interviewed several of their engineers about stuff. And the funny thing with the engineers is they never want to give you an explicit, they never want to give you explicit data if they don't have that data printed off in front of them. So they give you very vague things. You have to kind of like tack them down as like, well, in this situation, does it do this or does it do that? And that's kind of complicated. Duncan is really curious. Wow, Duncan, you are really curious. Forester or Outback? Well, you can get an Outback with a turbo, so Outback wins. Ding! That's news you can use. Okay. Enough about Forester, because we'll be coming back to Forester soon enough. Number 4, I guess I got to flip this over. Yes, this was fun. So the original RAV4 hybrid review we did, we tried to get it to do anything with the back wheels. Where's that video? What? Oh, there it is. We tried to get it to do anything with the back wheels, and it wouldn't. And not only that, they said that, in the documentation, they say, do not take this vehicle off-road. It is not allowed to go off-road. So it was kind of astonishing that the new RAV4 had an off-road mode. They were actively encouraging it. And so we did. I'd like to say that we actually asked for explicit off-road permission for this because we are supposed to ask for permission on these things. I think it was implied. Now, the Toyota PR people are actually pretty cool with us on this type of stuff, which is really great. And the reason, just to digress slightly, the reason why we're supposed to ask for permission isn't really to for the manufacturer to say yes if it's suitable or not for that, although obviously that's a question. But we're not going to ask if it's a vehicle that's unsuitable to do what we want to do. There's no point in that. But it is a matter of these vehicles are very tightly scheduled because like this RAV4 was in the Northwest for probably 2-3 months. While it's here, it has to get through every single journalist. If those of you might watch Tom Volk as well, he's local here. We're friends. And we're both members of the Northwest Auto Press. We do a whole bunch of events together, and we basically get the same cars. So when I'm done with a car, it'll go to Tom, or when Tom gets done with a car, it'll go to me. And the problem here is if I break this car because I've taken it off-roading and I did something stupid, then that means that it can't go immediately to Tom. It needs to go to service. And because some of these cases, they're pre-production cars, other cases, parts are very limited, the car may not be fixed for 1 or 2 weeks. At that point, you now have 2 journalists who have not received the vehicle, and that becomes a problem. So technically, when we ask for off-road permission, it's really whether or not they can schedule a week free after the vehicle has been checked out to be able to send it for fixing if it needs it. Now, we do off-road testing, and most of the manufacturers know me pretty well, so most of them are pretty cool with what we do. I only try to do what I think will be successful for the vehicle. I'm not going to take a vehicle and put it in a position which is dangerous to the vehicle or dangerous to me. Excuse me, got to get a drink here. Simply because there's no benefit of that. I mean, showing as many people as would like to see me take a Toyota Corolla up this climb, nobody's buying a Corolla based on that information. That's not usable information. It might be fun for about 30 seconds, but it's not usable. So, we try to keep it within that wheelhouse. And by the way, Duncan, also, then somebody's asking, I'll open this to a Q&A short enough. Let me get through our top 10 here while people are joining us, and then I'll start doing Q&As, okay? Does that sound like a good time? Let me also take a quick peek. We are currently at 900. Oh, come on. We got to be higher than that. 99,900. Come on, refresh. And 44. We've added 10 subscribers since I started this stream. At this rate, I'll make it home by dinner time. Thank you, everybody. For those of you who are just watching, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to repeat this a few times. We are doing the top 10 countdown of most popular videos from 2019 while we march to 100,000 subscribers, which I'm totally stoked by. Okay. What is next? We have, so we just did the RAV4. Number 3, Subaru all-wheel drive explained. That one was super tricky. Excuse me. This video was fun, and I knew I was going to be doing it for about a year before I actually did it. And I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off because they kept having new vehicles coming out. And I'm like, okay, well, I knew 2019 was going to have a whole lot of new vehicles for Subaru. And I could have waited till after the new WRX comes out, which presumably is next year. But I really needed to, so this was kind of a good time to do it, I think. But the funny thing is that, again, conflicting information, whereas Subaru was really good about giving us access to engineers to put this piece together, it was kind of complicated to tack down some of the data because even some of their training data, the stuff that they give to their salespeople, had a couple things that weren't entirely correct. So we kind of had to figure out some of the details. And yeah, I know that some of this information that we include in this video has, it's contrary to what everybody knows. It's also contrary to what you would read on some sections of Naziok, which, for those who don't know, is the big Subaru forum. But did I just do air quotes both virtual? Oh, anyway. Watching myself doing air quotes after I just did air quotes. Anyhow. We were able to finally put the information together. Some of it's contrary to what some people believe to be true. Some of it is also just condensed down to being simplified. And of course, some engineers might have issue with the way I've simplified it. But I think overall, it's a good take on, kind of the information that a buyer really needs to know. A buyer may not need to know all the minutia, but at least to get right in the wheelhouse, I think is important. Surprisingly difficult. My wife actually owned a car that looked exactly like that Legacy, and we had no video of it. I had to pull it from Wikimedia, which we give credit for later in the video. But that was kind of surprising. Anyway, so that was Subaru All-Wheel Drive Explained was the number 3 video of 2019. So let's look at the number 2 video. This one is probably no surprise to anybody. In fact, I think probably we have about half our subscribers from this video. This is... Nope, not that one. I think I copied over the wrong one. Did I? That's X mode. Oh, well, I'll play it anyway. This is not the one. This one just came out a couple weeks ago. This is Outback X mode tested off-road. But the video that was number 2 was actually our Outback XT review and off-road test, which was shot in Northern California. Really, really northern. Like, we took an airplane to SFO and then a private plane north in the middle of nowhere. So beautiful out there, though. I really love that part of the country. And again, not this video, but it's the same car. In fact, I think this is the exact car that I was filming on display in the Outback XT Onyx review. Even though this isn't an Onyx touring, we kind of covered both cars in that review. But that video was huge. I think it's up to, do I have the data here? Yeah, it's almost at 700,000 views, and it's only done that in like half a year. It has 60,000 hours of view time. So to put that in perspective, I mean, we are greatly damaging productivity in the U.S. by providing car videos. Yeah. Okay, and the number 1 video for 2019 was... I think you guys are probably going to be able to guess this one. It is that it? Yeah, that's it. It is Subaru Forester Dual X Mode Explained. This is a really important shot. So this is one of the first times. Anyway, this is one of the first. I don't think it was the first time, but it was the first time where I drove up. I was like, right here, I am having the thought in this car, thinking to myself, I should take every crossover up this road. I really should. And so the fact that there was a hurricane that wiped out the off-road course, and so we had to do kind of a dinky one for the original Forester launch, which basically inspired me to get the Forester again to do another off-road video so we could really test X mode, which led me to this road, which got me thinking about finally doing all the family crossovers with a standardized test. And there you go. That is the way the logic has flowed. You know what I mean. Anyway, so yeah, the X Mode Explained. This video blew up, and it continued to do great all the way through 2019, and it's now had over 1 million views, and it has not really slowed down much. It is still doing awesome. And so thank you guys. I really, it sounds silly, or maybe it sounds trite or whatever, but yeah, we really couldn't have done this without you. Viewers like you just really, every time we do a video, and we may not reply to every comment, but we do read every comment. And, sometimes we integrate that into our reviews. People are like, hey, Subaru Outback, let's see it with snow tires. So it was like, okay, hey, let's try to see if we can get snow tires. Oh, well, Subaru will put snow tires on it. Great. So we then filmed the Ascent with snow tires, which also led us to calling up Toyota to get the Highlander on snow tires as well. So whoever left that comment, hey, there you go. So we do try to respond to your comments, even if I don't personally reply to all of them. And so, yeah, you guys are doing great. I feel like we're really working as a team here, which is fantastic. I'm really hoping that this year, by December, we can hit 200,000 subscribers, because we are literally doubling every year right now, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah, we're not blowing up like, WD-40, why did you unsubscribe? It's not like... We're not going to blow up like some of the vloggers, because honestly, the car culture is not quite the same as, people people complaining about other vloggers. I don't quite get why that's so popular. But the fact is that stuff blows up overnight, and some of those people have millions of subscribers and millions of viewers instantaneously. And I'm not a girl who lives in a van with a pet snake. So, there's that. I think you should talk about how you got into automotive journalism once I get to 100,000. Yeah, that is kind of a circuitous road. By the way, we're at 99,944 subscribers, so we are getting there, which is pretty cool. That I'll put that back up, even though it's only going to tick over that. Like for those who just joined, the 99,900. YouTube changed their API last September so that third parties can only pull rounded to the 100 on channels my size. So that's as close as we can get. But it will tick over to 100,000 when we get that final subscriber. So if you guys want to see me go home like today at some point, please have your friends subscribe. Text your buddy, say, hey, subscribe. I don't know what you would do, but whatever you can do, it'd be great. Thanks. Okay, let's see if I can answer some questions here for you. I would subscribe, but I already did. Aw, thanks, Rev. Oh, yeah, I remember your handle. I've seen your handle around there. Okay, I'm going to scroll back and look at comments and see if I can answer any questions that have been coming up. Salem, Oregon, representing right on. My wife's family is actually from Salem. Actually, funny thing, my daughter, who's 13, has been working on family tree stuff, and that's been one of my hobbies throughout the years. And she, so we had to put together a bunch of family tree stuff, and my wife's family actually were Oregon Trail pioneers of the town of Silverton, which I thought was pretty cool. We actually kind of knew that, but it's kind of nice to revisit it. And then we go to the grandparents and they pull all the photos out and they tell us all the stories. So that's kind of what we did over the holidays here. Okay. Oh, and I'm now seeing that comment. Okay. Love your shirt. Yep. Great. This was a Blip Shift shirt. My wife actually just called me and I had another Blip Shift shirt just arrive. I can't remember which one I ordered it is. Basically, if I see a Blip Shift shirt come across my feed and I like it, I just order it and they just keep showing up. So I am not sponsored by them. I have to say that. I am not sponsored. I just like their shirts because they're pretty awesome. Paul, yes, I think your style of explaining all-wheel drive is great. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. The 2020 Highlander all-wheel drive, I'm really looking forward to. I'm hoping to do a whole bunch of different things with it. So hopefully that works out okay. I always try to speak in kind of tentative terms with vehicles that are coming up because like I said earlier, like if I break a car, the next journalist can't get it. Well, like if Tom Volk breaks the car, then I'm not going to get it. I'm not saying Tom breaks cars. I'm just saying, it could happen. Derek Lau asks, is the Honda Passport better? The Honda Passport is different. And I think it's better in certain ways. If you need lots of storage capacity and you need, honestly, I should just do a video on this because I get this question like literally 5 times a day. The Honda Passport has a lot more cargo capacity. Imagine if Subaru took the Ascent and took out the back 2 rows. Boom. Passport. I mean, it's huge. And it's super wide. It's 6 to 8 inches wider than the Outback. And that's my only... I mean, that's a benefit for it if you need a lot of cargo. But that's... Excuse me. Fizzy things. But that's my only... I think concern about it is that even just driving it around town every day, I just feel like it's bigger than I need. And I think it's bigger than most people need. I think that the Outback is a better package. However, I do really like the iVTM4 all-wheel drive system, as I've expressed in numerous videos. So it's hard to say that it's better because it is so different than the Outback. I think somebody has to drive both, and you will feel more drawn to one or the other. And like the tablet on the Outback, I don't like, but I would still pick the Outback over the Passport simply because I don't want something as big as the Passport. Even though it's awesome, I kind of wish that they would build the equivalent of the RDX, but in a Honda Passport style package because it's a little bit smaller. At least I think it feels like it's smaller. I think it's smaller. And of course, it has SH all-wheel drive, which is the accurate version of iVTM4. But if they had just a slightly smaller version with iVTM4, that would just be perfect. Okay, let's scroll on down. Okay, so Kiss Kiss thinks I should talk about how I got into this. Maybe I will. If we run out of time. Wow. Oh, yeah, Kiss Kiss has been here since the Subaru magazine, which of course kind of goes back to how I got started, although it goes back further than that. For those who don't know, I used to publish Subaru Enthusiast magazine. Now, before people say, though, that's why you're nothing but Subaru all the time, I also published a Mazda magazine. I owned an RX-8. I had a Miata. I published a Miata magazine. I'm technically the owner of the now-defunct Miata magazine through a weird turn of events. So I just love cars. But the Subaru magazine is close to my heart. Always really enjoy that. A lot of my own personal cars are Subarus because I think they do a lot of things right. Doesn't make them perfect, but I think that they've had really good consistency over the years. And first and foremost, they're an engineering company more than they are a car company, if that makes any sense. At least up until recently. Recently, they've become more of a car company as they've been, hitting more volume and having more models. But for years, they were all just, they basically, the engineers had say in what they built, it felt, which was totally different than every other car maker. Also explains why so many of their cars were so ugly for so long. Where am I based at, Rev is asking. I am based in Bellevue, Washington. This is actually a studio in Bellevue, Washington. We have 3 offices here. One is gear, another one's edit, and then this is the Livestream studio, which is always on and always equipped unless I'm doing a live stream for somebody else. I still do some commercial work for other people. In many cases, they're clients I've had for years, so I continue to do it. Like I do a live stream for doctors every quarter. I just kind of enjoy it. It's kind of nice to do something a little different, and it's not terribly difficult for me. So also allows me to keep changing with different setups. And so basically, I'll go do one of those live streams, come back with another idea, and then implement it into this live stream setup. Which has been pretty good. Yeah, my wife is Salem. Oh, yes, Kiss Kiss. So my wife is from Salem, Oregon. Technically, she's not from Salem, Oregon. Her family is from there. Both of her parents are from that part of the country. And in the Northwest, whenever we say Salem, we mean Oregon. We don't mean witches. Sister, I'm happily... My sister and I are happily married as of New Year. I don't know what to say about that. Our Subaru... Oh, wait, it just skipped. Boy, I'm like way behind. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on all the comments while we're counting up to 100,000 subscribers here. Let me do a check on the count. We're at 99,949. What's going to happen? Are we going to hit 100,000 first, or am I going to lose my voice first? Let's see. Where was it? Passport better, blah, blah, blah. Since Subi Magazine. Okay. Subaru's CVT reliability any better? I cannot speak to reliability at all because it is simply something that I don't test. I own a 2004 WRX that I've had in the car in various videos that has the 4 EAT transmission that is older than me. So I can't really speak to the CVTs. I think the best resource for that is Consumer Reports still. Hey, my wife is calling. Hello, you're live.
Yay!
Like literally live. Like I am streaming right now live. How you doing?
I understand that, but this is important.
Can it be spoken to lots of people online?
Our daughter just reminded me it's her half birthday.
Oh, it's my daughter's half birthday today. That's awesome.
Yay!
Okay, cool. Does that mean cupcakes?
We'll talk about that later.
Fair point. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, my daughter's half birthday today. Yes. Let's see. Where was I? I was talking about reliability. Why is TFL always talking bad about Subaru? Can't really say. Roman, why do you talk smack about Subaru all the time? I know they didn't get cars from Subaru for a while, and that seems to have annoyed them. Not really sure what the story is there, but I'm sure it's more interesting if Roman would ever tell it. Greetings from Poland. Never been to Poland. Would love to go sometime. The Honda Passport equals an old Honda Pilot. Not sure what you're saying there, Rev 1371, but I'm not sure I agree. Oh, maybe size-wise. No, not really, because it's actually the width is the same as the current Pilot, so it's not really smaller. I wear my bib overalls in the family ranch when I drink my gravy. Okay, Bibby. Because they broke the CVT heated up too much. Oh, well, yeah, okay, so Kiss Kiss is talking about TFL and how they... I saw that video, and I watched it, and it's been a long time since I've seen it, because I saw it back when it was still a fairly new video. I'm not really sure what they were trying to accomplish there, and I'm not sure... that was before X mode, and there was a slight period there where they were using open diffs, and they didn't have like really a good lockdown on the wheels, if I recall correctly. See, the problem here is that I've filmed almost 100 vehicles this year. I've driven almost 100 vehicles. So when I start getting further back in time, it's kind of hard for me to remember exactly what year each feature was integrated, unless there was something really monumental about that. So yeah, they had that issue, and I'm kind of wondering if they would have that problem now with X mode that has more of that like locker effect, or maybe that was actually because an issue with that exact car. I can't remember. Yes, Rev, the Outback is much easier to get on the roof. I agree. Do you think the Forester will get interior refresh and turbo like Outback? I think we will probably see a PHEV Forester here in the U.S. before we see a turbo one. I have no real reason to believe that. I just think that they would sell more of those. And the question is the engineering. They have a hybrid Forester they sell in Japan and Europe, but they don't sell it here right now. And I think it's because it's not connection too slow. Well, we're doing okay on our connection speed here still. I think the issue is that it just doesn't have kind of the range. Like they're really shooting for more of a PHEV because that's kind of where the market's heading on these things. So I think that we'll see that in the Forester. As for interior, the Forester is built on the Impreza chassis, so we're not going to see a interior upgrade on that until we see a significant upgrade on the Impreza as well. And they've already done, like in the next year, don't expect anything. If anything, there might be like a plug-in hybrid version of the Forester, but don't look for a like completely new Forester. Subaru works on basically 2-year cycles for refresh, where they do like a new nose, for example. And they typically work on a 4 to 6 year schedule on more significant enhancements. And then they, of course, like spend about a decade before they do a whole new chassis. So I think that you're probably be looking at several years out before we see a significant change in Forester, considering it was all new in 2019. I think it's basically going to ride the same interior for at least the next 4 years. That's just my guess. Wise Guys Are Us. You drive a 2004 LS430. Oh, let me tell you about LSs. Back when I was in college, my roommate, crazy guy, he now works over at Disney Interactive or whatever that division is now called. He's been with them since InfoSpace, and they acquired InfoSpace. Anyway, here nor there. But we used to go out and do like photography, street photography, just for fun. He would model, I would photograph. And he was a crazy guy. It still is. But he owned an LS400. And this was one of the first gen cars. And we were in our early 20s. So that would put it at roughly 20 years ago. And like nobody our age drove an LS. He bought it from some grandma, I can't remember what, and he drove that thing. It was like a living room on wheels. I mean, there was nothing like it. It was amazing. And I really do recommend the LS for college kids because they are amazing cars. That is until the transmission broke and it was going to cost $7,000 to fix, and at which point he trashed the car. So let's see, what else do we have here? Oh my goodness, so many questions. Sorry, I'm kind of getting behind here. I didn't pay attention to the other magazines since all the times I owned were Subarus, which makes sense. Hey, Stray Cat, Levorg. I am so jealous. One time I asked the head of PR over at Subaru why they don't bring the Levorg over to the US. And they simply replied, because it's called the Levorg. We cannot sell something with that name in the US. I'm sure that was just a wisecrack version, but, you know, it's kind of true as well. They need to have a new name for that. I'm hoping we can go back to a wagon body style with the next WRX, but that all depends on what people are buying. So the market will determine that one. Love those Levorgs, though. When I was in Norway filming with Larry Casilla from Ammo NYC, I produced a Norway video for him because he was a keynote speaker at a detailer conference, which is a thing. I was shocked to find out. Anyway, the guy who catered us, shuttled us back and forth from the train station to our hotel. He drove a Levorg, and it was all snowy, and it was beautiful, and it was so cool. It was like the first time I actually had a chance to be in a Levorg, and it was in Norway. Excuse me. Man, this is a lot of talking. For those just joining us, we're doing the 100,000 countdown. I'm just doing a Q&A at this point as we march down to 100,000 subscribers. And I have to remind everybody, the 99,900 subscription counter you see there is because YouTube changed the API in September, and they round to 100. So when I hit 100,000, that will tick over from 99,900 to 100,000. And I cannot wait for that to happen because my voice is not doing great. Okay, moving on. Wise Guys R Us says, I always wanted an STI, but they're way overpriced. High miles and driven higher modded. Yeah, buying a used STI or WRX, that's tough. Most of them are trashed, honestly. They're just trashed. And that's kind of sad, but it's the case. You know, it's a fast car for young buyers who like to drive quick or rally them. Stuff happens. Yeah, that LS430, you'll have that's a great car. Those are great. Kitska says, also love your AutoNation videos. For those who don't know, my company also produces non-advertising content. We do social media content for AutoNation Corporate. But we just basically put together reviews, like comparisons and stuff like that using our content. So every once in a while, somebody will post, hey, didn't we see that same shot of that car over on this AutoNation video? And yeah, it is, because we produce those for them. Let's just say YouTube money does not exactly pay for everything, okay? Although I'd love it to. If we can get 1 million subs, yeah. Okay, half birthday. Oh, yeah, so for those who missed, my wife called in reminding me that it's my daughter's half birthday. We do that around our house because my wife is an amazing baker, and I think a lot of it is just justification for cooking cakes and cupcakes. So instead of 1 a year for each kid, we get 2. In some cases 4, because you have the kid's birthday on the actual birthday. You have the grandparents visiting the week and before, and then you have the friend party. So that's at least 3 cakes per kid. And then you break it into a half birthday, so each kid gets roughly 4 cakes. Isn't that normal? Let's see. Yeah, a lot of comments about the half birthday, which, yeah, okay, I admit. Growing up, we never did half birthdays. That's my wife's thing. Any other upcoming new videos on other all-wheel drive systems? So the all-wheel drive system videos are really determined based on availability of information, like can we get an interview with an engineer, whether those are on camera or off camera. With Subaru, the engineer didn't want to go on camera. Just he wasn't comfortable with that. So we did an interview with him, but we didn't actually include any footage of him because we just did an interview over the phone. And so doing that over the phone, we didn't include that in the video. But the key point is that we have to do research on those. Those videos take a lot of research. And right now, I'm not really sure which one we would do next. I would love to do an Audi one, but we can't get enough Audis up here. I haven't filmed an Audi in a year. And when they do, they usually send them with summer tires. And you can't really do much testing with summer tires unless you're doing roller tests. And I don't like roller tests. Other people do them. That's fine. Those are accessible. That's not me. I like to do more real world stuff. So really access is difficult for Audi. We've been filming, and I've actually already written one for Kia Hyundai systems. So that probably would be the most likely next one. We did film, I hate to say it, a Santa Fe with H-Track earlier last year, but we had a lot of problems with corruption in the footage. And I used it on a family vacation. It was on a vacation week, so I only ended up with like 2 days to film it. Normally, we spend a week filming these videos. So I didn't get to do as much with that vehicle as I'd like. So basically, I need to wait for the 2021 so I can actually do something real with it, like on the hill climb, the rock trail that we normally use. Once we do that, then I feel like we'll actually have a piece that I can put together that's sufficient to cover most of their types of systems. I do have more of their vehicles scheduled right now. I am trying to get a 2020 Santa Fe, and then once I get that, then we could look at another all-wheel drive system for them. If you mix a little Debbie Brownie cupcakes, you can make a little No. We only eat cakes from scratch. I'm sorry. My wife's an amazing baker. We can't eat the other stuff after that. Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. No, because they haven't sent us one. It hasn't really had a significant revision in the last few years. And so we need to wait. Manufacturers send cars to the regional fleets. So we pull all of our cars from the regional press fleet. These are provided for journalists and any promotional use they want to use in the area. So like if Brad Pitt flies into town and he's doing a deal with, say, Hyundai can provide him a vehicle when he comes here to drive around with. Those same vehicles are then, when they're not being used for that, are being provided to journalists for editorial review. So they don't have a Cherokee Trailhawk in our fleet up here right now. As soon as they do have one, I would love to do it. Steven, happy 6 months old baby. Actually, my daughter is 13 and a half. So the half birthday is something we do every year and half for 13 years. So, it's a crazy family thing. Okay. LS is awesome. Yeah. Oh, you own a Lexus LS with, yeah, those are pretty good. Smooth on-road handling. Absolutely. Alvin Brock, I would like to welcome you personally to the VIP pass. So there's a new thing that YouTube has made available to creators that don't have 1 million viewers, and that is a new channel membership. If you click the join button, you can see channel membership pop up, and it'll give you, it's a few bucks a month. And that really just helps support the channel. That's the big thing is if you like my content, you click join, you pay me a few bucks a month, it helps pay for everything. It helps kind of flatten out our dips and, our ups and downs in ad revenue because that's kind of all over the place. I'm not saying everybody has to do it. We still do videos for free. We just give some extra content for those guys, and we're still working on exactly what we're doing. It's kind of like it's a balance. You don't want to like overload people with the VIP with too much weird and random tangential content. But we try to give them basically a heads up. They usually know what video we have coming up before you guys do. But little things like that. But the most important thing is that it helps fund the channel, which is awesome. And so Alvin, welcome to VIP. Let's see. Crazy and LS transmission. Oh, so earlier I was telling a story of my roommate who had an LS 400 with the transmission go out. Dude, we were two guys in college. Do you think that, I don't even know if he even maintained that thing, and he did not drive it kindly. So that's probably, I think what happened to it was a 20-year-old driver is what happened to it. Let me rewind a little bit too. Before he had the LS 400, he had, what was that? It was a Saab. It was some Saab that he wrapped around a tree 40 feet off the ground. Now, you might say, well, wouldn't he end up in the hospital with serious back problems after that? Yes, he did. But after he recovered, he bought an LS 400. very, very used LS400. It was high mileage. Should they put the Okay, so maybe they should put the Levorg turbo engine into the Crosstrek. Absolutely. It's so amusing because we do these press launches where all the journalists go out and we meet with the engineers who build the cars. And many times, like the same engineer, the same guy in charge of like Crosstrek will be the same guy in charge of Impreza because they're very similar vehicles when you get down to the nuts and bolts of them. And like I'll talk to an engineer from Japan and I'll say, hey, when you have a Crosstrek with a turbo, is this something you've considered? And he'll look at me and he'll go, oh, do you think people will buy that? It's like, how do you not know people will buy that? But I think what it really comes down to is that their current production is basically being all bought without a turbo. They just don't need to do it because they're selling every car they make already. I think once we see a slight dip in that, then maybe we'll see a turbo. But who knows at this point? I shouldn't drink fizzy things on the air because it does make me burp. Sorry. But it's what's readily available. Or I could get the Bombay gin out. Oh, wait. No, we don't have 100,000 yet. Okay, put that back. Love my 2015 Subaru Outback Premium. Yeah, and the one thing I like about the Subaru Outback Premiums of 2015, they actually have that smaller display. I just don't like that big tablet, and it didn't really hit home for me quite so much until I drove the Ascent that has the newer 8-inch tablet on it, and I was like, wow, this is just, it's a good size, you know? It's not a massive tablet. I just don't get why people want massive tablets in their cars. In my interview with the guy who was in charge of that decision to put a massive tablet, he is definitely inspired by Tesla. He was all about the Tesla massive tablet. So you can indirectly blame Tesla for that happening. Do you ever test all-wheel drive on the Toyota Sienna? Does it use the new torque vectoring system like what they put into the RAV4 or the old all-wheel drive system? Oh, that reminds me. I filmed a Sienna. I never actually put that video out, I don't think. This is a problem when you do 100 cars a year. Sometimes you're like, wait a second. I thought I filmed that. Let's see here. Let me go into my drive. We keep everything on a NAS here, which is pretty awesome. Hopefully there's no, hopefully that screen is small enough where you can't read too much about what I have on my my server here. Not like it really matters. I need to remember to keep my head towards the mic. Sorry if this looks awkward. Let's see. Toyota Sienna. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's an upcoming video because it's a 2020. So that's right. It's queued to be coming up, but I filmed it probably a month ago. That is my life. Sometimes we film things and then get around to it later. The Sienna did have the all-wheel drive, the one that we filmed. We didn't take it off-roading for obvious reasons because it's a minivan. Let me see here. Did I do a wheel spin test? It'd probably be around there. No, cup holders. Oh, those look like pickup shots. That's the radio. Hey, where's all my driving stuff? Oh, this one I think I did in reverse. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I did film the Sienna. The Sienna uses the old system. It's not on the new one yet. I don't expect it for probably about a year, maybe 2021, 2022. I don't actually know. I don't really track that, but it's not the current. It's not the new system yet. Yeah, not torque vectoring yet. Okay, moving on down. MDX versus XC90 versus Audi Q7, asks Crazy Cools 360. Well then. The all-wheel drive system of the MDX is my favorite of those three because it uses the SH all-wheel drive system. However, the interior is dated. There's no way around that. The Volvo XC90 has by far the best looking interior of the three, if you spend enough money to buy the optional stuff. The Q7 is great, but for some reason, I am having trouble thinking anything. The reason I haven't driven the new one yet. That's right. I've driven the older Q7. I'm like, I've driven the Q7, but for some reason, I'm not thinking of anything special about it. It's because I haven't driven the new one yet. And why? Because they haven't sent one to the Pacific Northwest, and I'm not on their list for driving cars. And I think I'm not on their list because 8 years ago, something like that, we did a press trip with them. And at the time, very few people were filming video. We were one of them. And I can tell you, nothing bugged a PR team more than having somebody shooting video saying, we'll be an extra hour because we need to shoot this stuff, or this whole trip was not worth our effort. And I mean, we said it nicer than that, but the fact is that I think we kind of bumped down on a few, like Hyundai, same issue. They were always really cranky whenever we would take a car. So they all send us cars up here, which is great, but we don't get to do the press launches with a few of them because we used to be really annoying. But now it's the thing, and times have changed, and I don't think we've made it back on the list. Hard for me to comment on reliability, Crazy Cool, simply because every model year of every car has a potential to have something disastrous go wrong with it. Even for that, I personally just use Consumer Reports data because it actually surveys owners of those exact cars over time. So every year they do a survey, and every year they update that information. So you're going to get much more granular data than one person's experience. From my experience, the biggest problem I've had historically with Volvo press cars has been the electronics acting glitchy, but that has never happened with the newest. No, that's not right. I did actually have a couple weird things with one of them. The S90 had some weird stuff happen, but it was electronic, and they basically just reflashed the car, and it was fine. But I never had any problems with like the all-wheel drive system or anything else that would like strand you. It was just the display cluster was acting weird. So I would say that it's the. I mean, even Jeremy Clarkson's wife, back when they had smaller kids, they drove an XC90. Now, granted, it was a previous generation. It's just such an incredibly well thought out vehicle for the luxury class. It's kind of a remarkably good car for that type of buyer who wants a luxury car that's a little bit more humble seeming, kind of in a way, compared to Audi, or at least historically it was. Yeah, so I don't think you could go wrong with a T6 XC90, but any of those vehicles, the Volvo, the Audis, not the Honda-based or the Toyota-based ones quite so much, but I would lease it in a hot second. No problem. I'm not sure if I would want a long-term ownership on a T6 XC90. There's just so many things in those vehicles that could go wrong. However, look to Consumer Reports data to see if they have gone wrong, because just because they're complicated doesn't mean that they fail. What do we have here? Sienna, Bombay Gin. Yep. MDX versus XC90. Okay, we already did that. My LS creation make Mercedes beg for mercy. Okay. Sienna will safely transport American family to baseball game. Yep. And for people who buy a Sienna, that's typically all they need. Actually, most of the people I know who buy vans, who I personally know who buy vans, do so because they have very large families and they absolutely need those number of car seats because they have like triplets or they have 4 kids. And you can pack people like that into an SUV, but even with an SUV with 3 rows, you usually end up with less cargo space than an equivalent van. So they go with a van. And yeah, that's okay. Most likely not torque vectoring, only RAV4 and limited. Use the new system. Actually, the new 2020 Highlander also uses the new torque vectoring system. It's available. I can't remember exactly what trims, but it's available. Your review of the 2020 Outback is one of my favorites. I have one question about X mode that might stump you. Oh, Apex Ascent, do ask. While you're typing your question there, I'll move on to the next one. Volvo has a weird upgrade program. You can change cars like an iPhone. Yes, but it's very expensive. It's their subscription system, and they charge between $700 and $900 a month. I think it's called Subscription by Volvo and has the weirdest ads. It looks kind of like, who is it? And it looks like one of those like very trendy clothing ads, but it has a Volvo in it. I get these ads all the time. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, so basically you're subscribing to a car, and then every year you can change to a different Volvo. Excuse me. But even though it's $700 to $900 a year, it you get the car, you get insurance. There was something else that came with it too. I can't quite remember. Yeah, so I think that's a lot of people are seeing that as kind of the future of mobility is people subscribing to a car. $700 a month, that seems pretty rich to subscribe to a car personally, for a car that you do not and will never own, and you're not paying to, you're not paying to any bottom line on that. You're just continually paying, which I'm not a big fan of. The highest mileage I've ever seen in a car. Well, considering almost every car I drive is a brand new one. Once I saw one that had 4,000 miles on it. By 5,000 miles, they're turned in to be crushed or sold off. So I think the highest mileage I have is probably my own legacy car. My legacy rallycross car, which has, what is that? Actually, I'll bring it up here for people who don't know it, which I imagine everybody knows it, but maybe not. I have a picture of it here or a video. I can do this. No. Mountains? Let's do mountains. Trying to do 2-3 things at once here. Yeah, so this is my legacy. This legacy is about 190,000 miles, I think. 10 years ago, I bought it. It was about 10 years ago. My brother-in-law, who's an undertaker, needed to commute, and he wanted to buy a Subaru, like a cheap Subaru, basically. So I looked on in Craigslist and this stuff, and I found this for $1,000 from a family that they just didn't need it anymore. And it was a manual transmission, all-wheel drive, 2.2-liter engine, and they sold it to us for $1,000, which is great. So he drove the car for 5 years as his commuter car, and he just racked the miles up on it. And then he was getting ready to buy something else. He just wanted something else. And I think at that point the car had 160,000 miles on it. And so I'm like, hey, I'll buy it from you for $1,000. So he's like, yeah, sure. So basically he had a free car for 5 years. But yeah, so that's how that car is probably the highest mileage car. Oh no, the highest mileage car, it just occurred to me. Back when I owned the Miata magazine, we had a project car called Project Survivor. It was a Miata that had 390,000 miles on it. Drove great. Shocking, right? That is a car that just isn't going to die. Highest mileage you see in a car. Okay. What program do I use to live stream? Oh, I make things very complicated. Do not replicate this setup. How can I do this? Well, I don't have another camera set up right now. I could put almost unlimited cameras on this, but I'm just not set up for it. So I'll just explain it. So this computer, actually, let me go ahead and turn off that. Let's turn off that. Come on. There we go. Okay, so this computer is my Livestream computer, and it's running Livestream Studio 6, which is a professional live streaming software. And then This computer is running everything else. This is basically just a standard computer that I'm plugged in through HDMI, which then goes into I have a Sonnet Express box that has a Blackmagic quad capture card. And then that one is then being piped into here as one of the video camera sources. And then for the main camera here, I switch it up every once in a while, but right now it's a Sony a7R III. That's in APS-C mode, and it is, because it has great face detection, autofocus, so it's really quite fantastic for this use. And then that is running through HDMI to a Video Devices Pixie 5, which is it brings in the HDMI source, lets me preview it, so it's also my confidence monitor, and then I have an SDI out from that into a secondary capture Ultrastudio box over here. So it's kind of a nice setup. And then I have this mic going through a Yamaha mixer, which is then piped into the Ultrastudio. No, it's piped into the Pixie 5, combined there, and then the audio runs through SDI. And then I can change this. I can change the multifunction PC that I have here. Let me go ahead and bring that up. I can change this to it's just a video out, so it allows me to kind of do whatever I need to show you on screen what's going on. So it's kind of a handy setup. I like it. Let's check in with our subscriber count and see how we're doing here. Are we getting close? We are, by the way, for those who are just tuning in, I am trying to do a live stream until we hit 100,000 subscribers. And at this rate, I'm going to be here a while because it's slowed down a little bit. We're now at 99,952. I think I can keep talking. It's only 3:30 here in Seattle. I think I can do this. In the meantime, I'm doing Q&A for whatever crosses your mind. I will answer things best I can. Let's see. I might have to get a coffee here in a second, but I have a great grinder mixer over there. So it's high-list mileage. That's how we do that. Can we donate to your channel to paint your legacy blue and slap a 555 on it? I would not prevent you from doing that. And I think the best way is to join the channel with one of the monthly subscriptions, because we now offer monthly subscriptions, because YouTube doesn't do it on the mobile app. You have to go to the website. But if you go to my channel, if you go to Driving Sports TV's channel page, there's a join button, and there actually might be a join button below this if you're looking at it on a web browser. You click on that, and you can join the channel, and you're basically subscribing for $2.99 a month. And with that, I post more often to members, kind of give a little insight of what's going on. Excuse me. As we get enough members, I'll start to do some exclusive live streams for them, maybe like behind the scenes. I'm kind of thinking about doing those mostly at press events, which are definitely a lot more unique than just us locally. But, send me your ideas. I'm up for it. If we get enough of it, I was kind of thinking more of going, maybe not the blue, but instead going with the, which one was it? The one that McRae won his first world championship with, Finland, Rally Finland, the white with the pink and blue and green blocks on it. I always loved that livery. And then a friend of mine actually did that livery on their car. So I was kind of like, oh man, now I don't know what to do. Not sure if I want to do blue with 555, but I'll think about it. The 4.7, let's see. Toyota 4.7 liter V8. That is a great motor. Impression of the Venza making a return. The Venza, the last Venza I drove was very unimpressive. Didn't care for it much at all. It just seemed very mediocre. But like Toyota's come a long way in their all-wheel drive stuff. Still not my favorite. I'm a little concerned that the Venza is going to have the same problem as the RAV4. And as much as I like the RAV4 overall, because I really do like it, especially I like the hybrid, I find it's really tinny compared to others in the class, specifically the Subaru Forester. Now, I think it's a little weird to say that the Forester feels more solid, but it just does. The hybrid motors, the non-hybrid RAV4 is just a little buzzy. But that said, they've done such a great job with the new Camry and the new Corolla. Hopefully the Venza will be more like those and kind of feel more solid. But I can't comment on it until I've actually driven it. So, okay. So Apex Ascent finally got to his question, or I finally got to his question. The 2019 Subaru Forester is equipped with dual X mode and the 2.5 NA engine as the only engine in the current Forester lineup. The 2020 Outback also has the NA 2.5L. Yes, because I just tested that one actually with our snow driving one. The question being that if they put dual X mode in the Forester with the 2.5L, why didn't they make a trim where the 2020 Outback also uses dual X mode with 2.5L instead of having to buy the XT model? I think, honestly, it comes strictly down to marketing. I think that they felt like the XT needed to have something, not the XT, but the Onyx XT specifically, needed something a little bit more than the standard car. I think dual X mode would have been a nice feature. But as you saw, I mean, if you looked at our snow video with the Outback, do you really need dual mode X mode? I mean, I think it's nice to have options, and it certainly adds more capability over standard X mode. But I'm not sure if it wouldn't make it or break it for me personally. That would be more of a nicety instead of a necessity. Now we are going to try to get some more dual mode X mode vehicles, so I can kind of get a better answer on that. Because I kind of, even though we did that one video in 2018, I still feel like there's more to explore on that. Like more scenarios and get more absolute data of like, yeah, this really, really did help in this situation. And so I need to do more. I want to do more testing on that. But currently today, it wouldn't really sway me to absolutely buy one model or the other. And now I'm getting a text message that my 13-year-old daughter, who's having her half birthday today, because that's something we do in our family, is requesting ice cream. So I think that I should reply, yes, ice cream sounds great. Okay. Sorry. This stream is going to go on for so long, I have to still attend to my family if they have a question. Okay. Next question. What? Duncan Gilmore, what's that? Audi Q... What? 100,000's done? No, it's not. I don't think it's done yet. Sorry, Duncan. Let me double check here. Make sure I didn't all of a sudden get like 50 subscribers. Nope, we're at 99,953. Probably what you're seeing is they round in the data. Oh, did they round this one too, maybe? Nope, they didn't round that one yet. That one's still accurate. Okay. I think depending on which window you're looking at, they might round it different ways. But no, we're definitely not quite at 100,000 yet, although I would be stoked if we were because I'm ready. Okay. Where were we? I was looking at questions, but I've lost my window. Where's my window? Live data. Oh, there we go. Okay. Following you since the magazine days in the Subaru local rally scene. Wife and I were marshals for Olympus, WRC in the mid-'80s. Awesome. Proud owner of a 2013 Outback and a Legacy GT. That's awesome. Sorry, Kiss Kiss. Still not there yet. Even if my sub count is even if it's saying that. I wish that the sub counts were still doing the accurate data because this data is not accurate. So you're looking at, we actually have 99,954. I think it probably updated that other one to say 100,000 as soon as we rolled over. But even Social Blade is still reporting it at 99,900. So close. Let's see. Where's that window? I keep losing windows. I need more computers here so I can have another one up here. Yeah, I have to say it was really fun. Doing the rally stuff back in the day, that's really how I got started on this. I started a magazine called Northwest Auto Sports in Wow, I don't even remember. Let's see. So 623 had to be 2002, maybe something like that. And I put out one issue, and it was so complicated to put out one issue. I'm like, fine, I'm going to do this as a national magazine and put it into all the stores, but I need a new name. So I changed the magazine name to Driving Sports, which was, in retrospect, the name was great. I like the name. Still like it today. But the magazine itself, I mean, a zero-budget magazine out of the Pacific Northwest, and we were on the shelf next to Road and Track. Okay, maybe not the best business plan, but I learned a lot. And we were in Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. We were in booksellers in Europe. Lots of people bought it in Singapore, which is kind of weird. We were in the airport in Singapore. Basically, I really learned how to do magazine distribution with that title, although I never made any money on it. That print title was turned into Subi Sport magazine because I was actually publishing Driving Sports magazine as I was working as a publisher for another company. I was actually a consulting publisher for a regional free publication. And so I was doing Driving Sports kind of as a hobby publication on the side. How many people do internationally circulated print magazines as a hobby? That was my hobby. I was weird. Am weird. And so basically, how'd that work? Yes, so the company was restructuring, and I disagreed with their restructuring, and I quit on the spot. And I went home, and I'm like, oh, I need to make money now. So I did what I should have done with Driving Sports, the print magazine, and I did market research. And market research led me to turning it into a Subaru magazine. Now, I was considering doing it as a Volkswagen magazine or Subaru magazine, but I felt that the Volkswagen market was already overly saturated. And I also had already owned lots of Subarus. Ironically, the time that I actually turned it into Subi Sport magazine, I didn't own a Subaru at that moment, which is fine. I went out and bought one, and that was that. But anyway, so the publishing goes way back, and that was kind of a weird. I don't even remember how I got on this tangent. Oh yeah, it was the thing. So what drew me to doing the Subaru stuff specifically was their involvement in rally. I loved covering the rally stuff. But even after we had done like 1 year of Subi Sport magazine, I kind of felt that, or actually it was part of the launch of Subi Sport magazine, but it took about a year to put the DVD out because we did a DVD offer when people first subscribed. But it took a year to get that done. And in that period, I was like, we're covering these motorsport events, but you don't get the same visceral feeling of the cars going by and all this stuff. And of course, at this time, YouTube did not exist at all. And so I felt that we should do videos to supplement it. And so we started producing videos under the Driving Sports brand. I still maintained the brand. We still had a website. And so we were still doing it as basically supplemental videos. And the nice thing is that under Driving Sports, we were able to cover all the different makes and models that were competing. We didn't have to do just Subaru. And it tied in very nicely. But the fact is that the rally community, as wonderful people as they are, as wonderful of people as all the fans are and all that stuff, it's a relatively small audience, as every organization that tries to take over U.S. Rally has found out. You hit a wall. And when you hit that wall, it's like, anyway, I digress. The point being that we continued to produce content under the Driving Sports brand. We did mostly rallies, but over time I found that the cost of producing rally content was very expensive because it's a very dirty, grimy, time-consuming kind of a shoot, and you just don't get the wide interest that you would get otherwise. And so as much as I personally would love to, I would just like film rally all the time. It doesn't pay for itself, and it damages equipment, and you have to replace lenses way more often than any other kind of shoot, just because it's so dirty and the weather and the conditions. I love it still. I don't really go much anymore just because I can't time-wise, which is too bad because it's an awesome sport. Let's see. Look at your Subi count. Yeah, I'm not there yet. Too many Subaru questions. Well, Lavanite, ask another one. Is the 2020 Infiniti Q80 worth getting over the Lexus? I would say it's never worth getting an Infiniti over a Lexus. I have not driven the Q80, the 2020. I don't even know what it's like, but I'll say that my expectations are pretty low. Infiniti is a brand that seems to be languishing with really old tech and really old chassis, and just nothing there excites me. I have not looked at the QX80. I have absolutely no idea if it's better than the old ones. If they ever bother to send me one, I'll look at it. But as of right now, I'd be like, I'd get the Lexus. Although the LX570, let me take a look here for those who don't know. LX570. The LX570 is a big, badass SUV. I am going to be filming the Land Cruiser, which it's based on, in a few weeks. We have one of those on the schedule. And just based on the fact that its bones are one of the most badass off-road vehicles in existence, definitely makes me say, yeah, get the Lexus. Infiniti, I don't even know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing. And that's kind of sad because I really liked like the what was it? The Nissan, the Z-based cars. I really like those, even in Infiniti trim. But they're really not getting things up to speed here. Anyway, moving on. Do you think the upgrades to the 2020 Ridgeline are good? 9-speed versus 6-speed. Yeah, I really like the 9-speed. For me, I'd like the dual. Oh, Apex. He keeps asking about this dual X mode, so I think we're getting through the question here or there. For me, I would like dual X mode because where I live, I would like a non-turbo car for longevity and reliability without dual X mode, but completely agree with your answer. Thanks so much. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully that was helpful. When will I be able to buy a Crosstrek with a manual transmission and a turbo? Don't hold your breath. I would expect possibly, at the very earliest, it'll probably be 2 years. And I'm really just pulling that out of my butt. I have no idea when they're going to make one. I don't know if... Subaru is very... they're very... let's say, they don't share information like that. And so when the car comes out, I think that like, even the Northwest would never... I mean, not Northwest. I think that the Subaru of America won't even know until the vehicle is basically done. 2021 Acura MDX. Is that a thing yet? Haven't seen it yet. Looking forward to it. Because I really like the RDX. I really like it. I just wish it had a little more ground clearance. But for what it is as a street-going crossover, I think it's one of the best. So hopefully the 2021 MDX carries that forward for larger 3-row people. Speaking of Subaru Rally, do you watch Launch Control? Thoughts on the series? A friend of mine is the producer of Launch Control, Warwick Patterson. I've shot for some episodes of Launch Control. I've contributed content to it. We distributed it on our channel when they first got started, but then they're doing their own channel stuff now, which is cool. I think it's great. I think that the series needs to evolve, though. I think that it's kind of, I mean, I hate to say it, I don't watch it anymore because it's kind of the same story all the time. But then again, I am more aware of what's going on already, and so I don't really want to watch event coverage 2 months later, you know? So, because I already know the result. I think it's a spectacular series, though. I mean, Warwick and his team do just an insanely good job with that series. And anybody even remotely interested in motorsports should watch it, at least some of it. Maybe not all seasons, but it's great. And I think it's more interesting the fact that Subaru as a company is willing to fund that kind of a project, because it's an internally developed project. And I think that really shows that they know they want to speak to their fans in a certain way and to provide them with something that's not some... You know, some of these manufacturers, they'll send like a PR person with an iPhone, and they'll be like, "Oh, how excited are you to be here?" And that's their whole thing. But to produce like a TV documentary style quality show, episode after episode, I mean, my hats off to Subaru for greenlighting it, and Warwick continues to do an amazing job. Let's see, between the Sport Hybrid and the A-Spec, I check them out rather than yeah. The one thing I don't quite understand with Lexus's trim lineup is with the RDX is that they don't give you a surround camera option on the A-Spec, and the A-Spec looks so much better than the other trim levels. It's really kind of disappointing. It's like, why? Why would you not think that the person that wants the coolest looking RDX might not also, and is willing to pay for it, might not also want the surround camera? Just little things. I just don't get it sometimes. Venza. Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on Venza until I see it. Last one I drove was so incredibly boring. I saw a video that I had shot about 8 years ago with a Venza, and even watching me drive the car, I didn't remember driving that car. Still can't remember. I'm like, that's me. I'm talking. Do not remember that car. And so hopefully the new Venza is a little bit better than that last one. Let's check in on numbers and see how we're doing here. We have, for those who are just joining us, I'm sorry I have to do this recap, but I feel like it's a good idea. We are doing our countdown to 100,000 subscribers. I am trying to live stream here up until we tick over to 100,000. Now, if you look at my channel right now, you'll see it says 100,000, but it's actually 99,960 because YouTube rounds the public view for some reason. They started doing that in September. I do have a live counter over here, but once that ticks over, then I believe we'll actually be honestly at 100,000 because the API doesn't round the same way as the front of YouTube for some reason. But I am stoked to finally get here, 100,000. So what do I get at 100,000 subscribers? Well, I get a plaque, as many of you probably already know, and I also get a verified badge next to my name, to the Driving Sports name, which is great. Does any of that mean anything? No, but I think it's pretty awesome. It's a goal, and we were hoping to hit it in December. I knew that was going to be really hard, and unfortunately, you can't force the algorithm to want to share all content, and it definitely did not share a few of our videos in December. So, yeah. So here we are today. Although, the original, like if I use Social Blade to map out when we were going to hit 100,000 subscribers, when I looked at it early last year, they were saying sometime around March or April of this year. So we're actually well ahead of the growth curve, which I'm pretty excited by, which is fantastic. Any other questions you guys want to ask while I'm here, just basically flapping my chops, waiting for 100,000 subscribers to come around? And don't ask me about the Venza anymore, because I do not know. I can maybe talk about what we have coming up. We have lots of different things. Right now, I'm working on several reviews simultaneously. Now, some reviews, I get the vehicle, and like the last two Subaru reviews, I knew very specifically what I wanted to do. And because they were snow videos, I need to get them out quickly while there was still snow. And there'll be snow for months, but, those videos are basically because of snow, which is very short seasonal, at least in some parts of the country. So to do that, I actually have some reviews that I filmed. I have some reviews that I filmed back in August that I haven't put up yet. I have a Ford F350 review that I've done. I actually took it off-roading best I could because it's a huge truck, but we also loaded it up with stuff. I have the new, the new Corolla, which is really quite a fantastic little car for anybody who wants a commuter car. And then I also have, the Sienna all-wheel drive van. So lots of different things. Oh, Adam is asking about Boxerfest. Boxerfest 2020. I will probably be there. Maybe. Can't quite say. guess what year there will be more EVs than ICE? Maybe this year. What was it? Tesla sold 380,000 vehicles this last year or something. It was a big number. And with everybody else coming online, I imagine it's going to go by pretty quick. Oh, I can show that. Car Guy 11, it held it for moderation, but Car Guy 11 is excited. He's going to hit 10,000 this year. That actually is huge. There's a few like big numbers in YouTube, and it's funny the way that YouTube works. Like getting that first 1,000 is probably the hardest thing you'll ever do. Wasn't that hard for us because back when we started, I mean, our YouTube channel started in 2006. We signed as a production partner in 2007. At the time, we were one of literally a handful of car content creators on YouTube, but it didn't pay at all. It like non-existent. That's why we did it as kind of an add-on for the print publication. But then but as YouTube grew, it became, more of a thing. So we kind of grew with YouTube. And so I think at the time that we stopped producing for YouTube religiously, which was probably around 2011 or so, I'd have to look at when we posted specific videos, but somewhere around there. I think we were around 20,000 subscribers, and we were pretty big. What really set me off was we had a syndication deal for Red Media in Russia and Ignition Channel in South Africa. They were distributing our show, or they had at least were going to. Well, yeah, they were distributing our broadcast version of our show, and so that was kind of where our focus was at the time. And YouTube was kind of more of a distraction because 20,000 subs, the amount of views we had, and more importantly, there was very little ad revenue to go around. There just weren't that many advertisers. But then YouTube dropped a ton of money on the Drive guys. Who's that? Emil Rensing and his group of podcast shows, which came over to YouTube. Google basically funded the people that they had already acquired to produce automotive content, and that kind of set me off. Now, the cool thing is that you guys got some great automotive content, but didn't do me any good. So I basically have a family I have to pay for, so I have a family I need to support. So I had to focus on things that would allow me to support the family. Luckily, YouTube has come back around to actually being like a legitimate channel now, which is really, really great to see, because I've always believed in the distribution of what YouTube is. It is, I think, almost an ideal. You scrape away all the crap of like the algorithm and the drama and COPA laws and all this other stuff. But I think at the heart of it, what it does is I think important, and I think that's it's the platform that I most think is like the version of me from 20 years ago. If I could have envisioned something like this, I would have been like, yeah, that is what the world needs. And so I really do like the it as a platform, but I also need to make sure that that my productions can pay for themselves. So, because like I said, I have a family and I am not independently wealthy. Definitely not independently wealthy. It is a challenge. But in recent years, basically I was, after ignoring YouTube for a long time, I started to notice that some shows were starting to get really, really big out of nowhere on YouTube. And I was talking to some other creators, and they're like, and I've seen where they've gone and how many members they have and what kind of views they can get. And so we started producing content again. So I am kind of coming from behind here, though, because I think we had 20,000 subs in 2018 or something like that. Basically, we pretty much sat at 20,000 subs for several years because we put clips up, but we didn't really focus on it. And you can get views, but you don't get a lot of subs. And we had views. We had a lot of views. We have 47 million views, which is bigger than some big YouTubers in this space. But we weren't really adding subs because we were irregular. Really wasn't using it as a two-way medium that it actually, I think, excels at. But really focusing on it for the last year and a half, or is it 2 years? I don't remember anymore. Has really helped grow the channel, which has been great. But man, getting out those, I've seen people launch channels in the current environment. Like I have some friends that are automotive journalists who are, might have worked for a large enterprise, and now that enterprise downsizes and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to create my own channel. And I see what they go through, and I would not want to be there myself right now. In a way, I'm just really stoked to get to 100,000, mostly because it's kind of like, anybody do martial arts out there? I'm sure some of you have done martial arts. You do the whole thing and you finally take your black belt test, and then you realize the black belt's not the ending, it's just the beginning. And so for me, I kind of see the 100,000 as our YouTube black belt. It is finally the beginning of the rest of our journey. And for that, I am really, really excited. And we got a lot of stuff planned for this year. And as subscribers grow and viewers grow, and I too, Rav, by the way, am very interested in that new RAV4 Prime. I think that is going to be a fantastic vehicle, considering the standard hybrid PHEV is since the standard hybrid, not PHEV, is so good. Man, my throat. Let's check in on numbers and see if we're at 100,000 yet. Pardon me. 99,962. Oh, so close. I'm going to take 20 seconds. I'm going to go over and turn my espresso maker on because I need to drink some espresso. So hold tight while I go. Actually, what I'll do is I'll start a video playing here just so that you know this channel is still alive. What am I going to play? Let's play... oh, that's an old video. Let's play that. That's an AutoNation video. Not going to play that one. Forgot about that one. Let's play Mudfest car clips. Yeah, we'll play a clip. I think we have a clip video of a Kona. How long is this? 36 seconds? That's not exciting. I'm going to spend more time trying to find a filler video than I am going to actually get my coffee. Oh yeah, we got Mudfest. This is the annual Automotive Press Association event. We usually shoot the content for it. So here is just rolling footage of that content while which we then provided to other journalists, which I am going to just roll and you can enjoy while I go get some coffee. And by coffee, I mean I'm going to walk over to my office, to the kitchenette, and go grab some. I'll be right back. 6 slow-mo. almost done with my coffee. I'll be right back. I'm making multiple shots. So a couple years ago, we bought one of these espresso makers. So you hit a button and it grinds the beans and makes individual espresso shots. Greatest purchase ever. Of course, I also drink way more coffee now. You should have saw how much coffee I was drinking before. Yeah. Okay. So here we are. By the way, this is so cool. When you buy an S209, they don't really market this. Try to move my mic a little bit without making it sound too loud for you guys. Oh, whoa, now I've broken it. When you buy an S209, you get a scale model of the car. So when we did the press trip, they gave me, I think everybody got one, but we got a scale model of the color of the car that we test drove. Which is pretty cool. I always like this. I have a whole bunch of these from different car makers. This is just the most recent one. I also got one years ago on RX-8. Yeah, the S209 was a fun car. I am really looking forward, though, to the all-new WRX. That's something that's definitely on my radar. And I'm hoping it'll be the first video that'll get 1 million views within a week. You know, life goals. Let's see what else we got here. Where's my channel? Where's my live streaming dashboard? Okay, so I'm gonna review on questions. Yeah, so those Subaru events, not to belabor Subaru too much, but Adam West brings it up. Boxer Fest, all of them, they're all run by Subi Events, Robert Champion. For those who don't know, Subi Fest and all those events, I created Subi Fest. It was an event that we did through the magazine that I used to own. And then I sold it off to Robert years ago. And I have to say that that's the best thing that's ever happened to that event, because even though I like doing events were always another thing that I did in addition to the print magazine. I was focused on the print magazine. But but Robert is like, he's an enthusiast and he throws incredible events. And so they're really great events to attend. Even if you're not terribly interested in maybe Subaru specifically, although there's a lot of Subarus there. I mean, that is the point. They are just fantastic. They're very well-run events. And so they're quite good. Let's see. Interested in RAV4. What do I think of Hummer returning, if they ever returned? Oh, man. I don't know. I think it depends on the Hummer that it is. I kind of feel like any Hummer would just be some kind of weird cash grab. Jeep is one of the most valuable brands. I mean, we see the Gladiator right there. The Jeep is one of the most valuable brands in the world. So it would make sense that Hummer would exist as a brand, because it also has amazing brand clout, considering they haven't really produced anything for mainstream for a long time, and that last Tahoe-based pickup was horrible. But, oh, look, there's Tom Volk. Speaking of Tom. He has the Tom Volk driven channel here on YouTube. Like I was telling people earlier, we did the same events. There's a dinosaur. I should actually use that dinosaur more often in my videos. That's my dinosaur. I loan it for the event. This is video footage just from Mudfest from last year, which is an annual crossover truck and SUV awards thing that we do. It's where the Northwest Auto Press Association tests all these vehicles. And you might notice some of these vehicles, a lot of them end up on my show after this event. And I film them independent of this event. But there's a lot of, there's several YouTubers that you'll see here. Jason Fensky from Engineering Explained. He wasn't at this year's event, but he is a member and he's usually there. Actually, that's right. He wasn't at this year's event, but he was at the year before. So I guess you won't see him, but I'm there, and Tom Volk is there, and then we have some guys from some other stuff. Let's see. Hummer returning, with a huge battery. Yeah, the Gladiator is very. The Gladiator is expensive, but man, that was so fun. When I brought the Gladiator home and my kid saw that, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. My son is 10. Well, he was 10 when I had that. Is he 10 now? No, he's 10 now. Let's do the math on this. Oh, he was already 10. He had just turned 10. So when I brought that thing home, insane. So I actually brought him with me on the shoot. So if you look at, I think he pops up here and there throughout the video. He's not really the focus of the video, because have you ever tried to work with a 10-year-old? But he pops up in the video several times. And that was so much fun to actually be able to bring him out on a shoot where we were doing off-roading with the Gladiator. That was a lot of fun. I want to do more of those things. Yes, next WRX STI. Everybody is waiting for that. Still that first-gen legacy from the series. Not quite at 100,000 yet, by the way. Some people are seeing 100,000 on their when they go to my channel, but we're actually not quite there yet. I'm watching my official ticker in the background, and it's 99,965. So we keep on moving on. The one thing I can't put my official channel up because it shows revenue and all these other stats that I don't really want to. It's not the point of this video, and so I'm not showing you that. But unfortunately, all the publicly accessible counters, they round because for some weird reason YouTube limited their API data on that. So Seltos versus CX-30. We don't get the Seltos here, but I will talk about the CX-30 a little bit. I think that their range excuse of talking about range being equivalent, like they wanted to make sure that the range, so the size of the battery they used, if they calculate in all of the stuff that goes into it, is environmentally the same as one of their diesels. That to me sounds like a PR department who wants to sell diesels, not a legitimate argument. And so I think the biggest concern with the CX-30 is the fact that they went with such a small battery pack on it. And then their PR team is basically trying to justify the size of that battery pack in a way where you're kind of like, maybe? So, yeah, not so sure. I haven't driven it yet, though. I hope to get one soon. Actually, that reminds me, I need to email them again about that and find out why we haven't gotten one up here yet. But they don't have it in the Northwest Fleet yet, so I can't drive it. And Mazda videos don't do that well online, so I can't really like travel. It doesn't make sense for me to fly out someplace to do it because it wouldn't even pay for the flight. That is, the views wouldn't pay for it. I kind of want to buy a Legacy Spec B. The Spec B was awesome. I love the Spec B. That was such a great car. I kind of wish I bought one of those. Instead, I bought I had a 2007 with a manual transmission GT. Great car. Did a whole lot of stuff with that car. I think it ended up with 300 or 350 wheel horsepower. It was fast and totally useless in any situation other than perfectly dry conditions because of the horsepower. So right after I modified that vehicle, or like when that build was done, because we did that build for the print magazine, we had the biggest snowfall that we'd had in a decade in the Seattle area. And I couldn't even drive that car to work because it was on NT01s. For those who don't know, those are race tires, DOT approved race tires. So I ended up putting chains on my Miata and having the best drive ever in the snow, blizzard conditions, to my office. It was fantastic. Miatas with chains in the snow are one of the greatest joys you can have in driving. Just wanted to share that. Well, David, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. I think that's the first super chat we've ever had, and I'm going to answer it as extensively as I can. Are we going to run the RAV4 XSE through a snow test? So, snow tires on vehicles it doesn't seem like it should be that complicated, but the manufacturers, we put in requests with the manufacturers to ask for, certain configurations. And we can't really ask for, I can ask for like an XSE or a hybrid or something like that. But when it comes down to the exact trim packages, they decide. I don't know if we can get it with snow tires. I put in the request. Right now I'm focusing on trying to get the 2020 Highlander with snow tires. That's my big focus right now. And then after that, I really would like to do the RAV4 as well with snow tires. So it is something that's on our radar. And that actually reminds me I should bug the PR team about that again, because that I think is really important. So thank you so much for popping in that super chat. I really appreciate it. What other questions do we have here? For those of you joining us right now, we are basically counting down the time to when we hit 100,000 subscribers. And unfortunately, you can't really see the exact count because they round it. So when this ticks over to 100,000, I believe that is when it'll actually be 100,000 because YouTube's API is limiting it. I have the real numbers over here, but they're on my whole console that shows all of the data of the channel. It's not any way that I can legitimately share, and it doesn't auto-update, so I have to refresh it all the time. But we're at 99,967 subscribers. When I started, we were at, I think, 99,940 or something like that. So we're making good headway. I think I might actually make it home possibly for dinner. If not, I will definitely be home for dessert. Oh, man, that's so nice. Thanks. Love your videos. I think you get a lot of views for the Highlander or RAV4 snow test. Keep up the great work. Thank you, David. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I love doing the snow tests, and I hope that we can do a lot more, but it really comes down to, I'm going to continue, even if manufacturers don't send us vehicles with snow tires, because clearly we can't just buy snow tires for every single vehicle. We don't even have a place to store as many tires as we would need for that. So even if I got a manufacturer, like a tire manufacturer, to send us tires, where are we going to put all these tires? Because they always send us different size wheels, and they always send us the most ridiculous wheel sizes. And more importantly, they don't like us modifying their vehicles if they haven't actually pre-approved it. So we are requesting lots of snow tires from lots of different makers, and I really hope that they can send us all those things, because I really love doing those tests. However, if we can't get snow tires, I will still do snow tests. The way my thinking is that if snow tires to snow is kind of like all seasons to gravel, kind of. Maybe that's not exactly it, but all seasons are somewhat usable in the snow. And what I'm trying to show in a lot of our off-road videos and a lot of our snow video isn't what you can get through necessarily, although that the one with snow tires we just did was about that, but that's not always the case. I really prefer to show what the system does in a slippery condition. So we could be driving on snow, or we could be driving on mayonnaise. It doesn't really matter to me. I think that showing the slip and showing how the vehicle moves power around is what the focus should be on, not if it can get up the hill. We recently did the Land Rover video with the Evoque, and I did all-season radials up a snowy incline. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is garbage review. The car didn't do that great. And I'm thinking the car actually did really good. It was on all seasons, as I said 50 times in the video. But the point wasn't to see if it could get up it, because, would you drive up a rocky incline covered in snow in all seasons? Probably not. But what you could see is how the power distributed. And I love the fact that like halfway through that review, I turned traction control off and I just gunned it. And you could see power instantly went to all four wheels immediately, which is what you really want to see. And to me, that was the impressive bit. It wasn't the fact that it had a little bit of trouble on this hill climb because it was super slippery, because it was super slippery. Although that said, I will try to get appropriate tires all the time. And I will never put a summer tire on gravel or in the snow, which is also why we haven't been filming BMWs lately. I do have an 7 review coming up. That does not include any off-road because they sent it on summer tires. All the BMWs in the fleet here have summer tires, and I can't, I can't reasonably put those on that surface because it'll damage the tire. And it's kind of like, you wouldn't do summer tires on snow. Why? Because you're not going to make it 2 feet. There's a point where you want to show something, and there's a point where you're just being absurd. And that it kind of delves into the more absurd universe, I think. Alpha dealer is separate, so that's a different story. Wait, what am I missing here about FCAs? A lot of those Jeeps are expensive unless you look at the Renegade. Ugh, Renegade. Renegade. Check out FC dealers. I love to own Durango with the brass monkey package. The Durangos are kind of cool. I have to admit, they're kind of an old school cool. Where do you go to vehicle? I missed a question there. What is my go-to vehicle for snow trips? If I was packing my entire family into a vehicle to go in the snow, I think actually on Christmas Day, that Outback that we drove and I'm bringing up the Outback for a very specific point here. And actually the Passport could be exactly the same in this case. Anyway, Christmas Day, I always go sledding with my family. And the neat thing about like the Outback versus other smaller crossovers like the RAV4 and even the Honda CR-V is that it's long enough where you can have parents in front, kids in the second row, and you still have room for reasonably sized sleds in the back. I could put a sled all the way in there, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Actually, I have a clip on that if I can get to it quick enough without boring everybody. We actually keep all of our videos on a central NAS. We have a 96 terabyte NAS that we edit directly off of. It has a 10 gigabit connection, which is one of the best decisions, second to the awesome espresso maker that we've ever added to the office. It was a big expense, but we did it years ago. Let's see. Outback Touring. I think that was a GoPro. Oh, no, I don't have it on here. That's right, because it was done, I think. Oh, no, maybe I do. No, it was done as part of a Christmas. It was a Christmas thing. So I don't actually have that here. But that said, I can pull it. No, I can't. Anyway, right. So the key point being is that you can put sleds, even with the seats up, in the back of the Outback, which you can also do in the back of the Passport. So I think really what it comes down to is any like for snow, my go-to vehicle for snow trips would be any vehicle that's big enough to hold all that you need, but with a good enough all-wheel drive system. So pretty much any of the Acuras, Honda, so long as you're looking at the Pilot or the Passport, or even the truck. Honestly, I really like that truck. What else? And I would want something that drives like a car. I wouldn't really, no, I'm just going to walk that all back and say, just get a 4Runner. If I could have one vehicle to take to the snow, it would be a 4Runner. I used to own a 96. It appeared in a few videos several years ago. Love that vehicle. I would someday like to get a new big one, but my wife is next in line for a new car, so she gets to pick the next car. I do not. So maybe after she picks her car, I'll get a 4Runner. She's currently driving. If any of you watched, not many of you did, but there is I did a what car should your teenager buy, or what kind of car should you buy for your teenager? That is actually my wife's car. It's a green Mazda 3, and she really likes that car. But we've had it since we bought it new in 2004. We bought it when the Mazda 3 had just been announced. And somewhat, I'm not sure if it's ironic or if it's just interesting, the very first car review video I ever filmed was a 2004 Mazda 3. And it was awful. I looked so young too. I stumbled across it not too long ago, and I was like, actually, let's see if I can pull that up. I think it might be on my old NAS here. I have an old, oh yeah, well that's not. I don't even remember my passwords here. Let's see. Is that connecting? I don't know. Was it? Oh, I remembered. We have, yeah, I keep an archive of ancient videos on here. Come on, is that going to load? Apparently the ancient video folder isn't populated right now. That's weird. How far back can I go here? Oh, masters, extras. Don't quite have the old. No, I don't have that one. I think those ones I've offloaded. Too bad. But anyway, yeah. So it was like a 2003. Yeah, it was like it was a 2003 Mazda 4, and so we ended up actually buying one of those for my wife, not because of the review, but because it really was heads and shoulders above everything else in the class, and she just wanted a car that she could drive back and forth to work at the time. And so here we are 14 years later, and she's still driving it. The interior is falling apart. The kids have destroyed the back, but it is, it's actually done a really good job. Oh, here's a throwback. Rally GB from videos were a lot smaller back then. Let's go back to questions. Okay. We can show that one. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, Tom Volk used to do videos for New York Times. I can't remember if he's still doing those or not. I know he's writing for the New York Times. I think he does occasional videos. He used to do a regular series with them, but I don't think he's doing that regular series anymore. We were talking about my go-to vehicle for snow trips. Anything big with a good all-wheel drive system and proper tires would be nice. But, honestly, 4Runner I just love the 4Runner. It's old school. It's indestructible. It's way nicer to drive than a Jeep. I just never really clicked with Jeeps. And I feel like it's a nice balance between capability and features. Trying to go through some of the other questions here. By the way, for those just joining us, we are doing the 100,000 countdown. I am doing a live count. We're currently at, make sure this is correct, 99,969 subscribers. We are 31 subscribers away from 100,000. I wish I could throw a live number up. Best I could do is, let's see, I can do this Social Blade count. This should tick over to 100,000 as soon as that number actually is real. Agree specific. What's the best all-season tire I've tested? I hate to say it, but most of the tires we get are garbage because we test the manufacturer vehicles as they're equipped, and those are always cut rate tires. All of them have been basically garbage. What do I run on mine? I usually run either Bridgestones or Pirelli. I've had good luck with Pirellis. I can't think of a specific model right off the top of my head because we're talking about things that I buy myself, which, I mean, like every couple of years I buy tires. It's not something I obsess over. I really would like to do a tire test, but that could be complicated to do right, and I don't want to do it wrong. So, sorry, I can't make a recommendation there. First, for winter tires, I really like what's on my Legacy. I did a lot of research on those, and I asked friends who drove different things, and I've been very happy with them. And I like them better than the Continental Contact 7s that I just had on that Subaru, which were okay. But I have the Dunlop Winter Max tires, and I feel like those really give me excellent tracking, good grip, very predictable. Now, granted, those are on my 1990 Legacy with manual transmission and the viscous coupled center differential for viscous coupler for power distribution. So it's a 50-50 split. But I feel like I have complete control with those tires in the snow, and I really like. We're supposed to get a blizzard coming up here in the next week or so in Seattle, and I am so excited because then I get to take that car out and actually have some fun with it in the snow. Oh, I saw favorite car of 2019, but let me get to that. I agree the season specifics, what are the best all season? Yeah, sorry. Favorite car of 2019. That's a good question. Now, I have some issues answering that type of a question because no one car is perfect for everything. The car that I was the most excited, I think, to drive was the car that I had the least amount of time with, and it's the most ridiculous car, but it's probably the McLaren GT. It's funny. I was out filming with Larry at Ammo NYC for a week in Connecticut, and we both got our names on a McLaren 570S convertible Spider, and that was cool. I mean, that was pretty cool to have a McLaren for a week. But I have to say that I was much more excited to have the GT for all the obvious reasons. It's way more comfortable. It's like the 570S, but it's more powerful and more comfortable. So, yay. Unfortunately, that was a dealer car, not a fleet car. The 570S was a fleet car, so I drove the piss out of that car. But the GT is a dealer demo car, so I have to be a little bit more gentle with it because it's on my insurance. It's not insured by the car maker. That does kind of matter because I always kind of think of what's going to happen in a worst case scenario here. Am I going out of business if I really mess up this car? And, you know, I'm insured either way, but it's like, So you got to be really nice to it. And I don't even want to think how much the wheels cost on a McLaren GT. But that was a very exciting car to drive. But it's ridiculous. It's absolutely a ridiculous car. I was really excited to drive oh man. Can you kind of like maybe isolate the question a little bit? Like the best car somebody should like really buy? You know, the RAV4 hybrid, I think, is an excellent vehicle. No, you know what? I don't think this is that hard. I think my favorite car of 2019 is probably the Honda Passport. I just wish it was a little bit smaller. I think that's a fair question. That's a fair answer. The Subaru Outback is really good, and I think that I would personally buy it over the Passport. But the Passport was the biggest surprise for me because it looked better than I thought it was going to look, and it drove. I should have expected it to drive like it did, but for some reason I didn't, and it drove better than I expected. And just having all that cargo space in the back, I mean, it's such a great vehicle. It's just big and I like having that. You know, when you're driving, I do a lot of driving down forest roads, and that whatever it is, 6 to 8 inches of extra width, that's a big difference to something like the Outback. So again, for me, practically, I think I prefer the Outback, but I think my favorite car of 2019 was probably the Honda Passport. It's what I say right now. Ask me in 20 minutes. I'll probably tell you something different. Blake is asking, do you think... Oh, great. Then it just skipped. Where'd it go? Do you think Nissan can survive? What do you think they need to do to change it around? I think Nissan needs to stop wasting money on awful Star Wars tie-ins. I thought it was clever with Rogue One, although you usually don't want to tie in your vehicles to a movie where everybody dies. But I think beyond that, the amount of money that they're wasting on these general interest, really awful tie-ins, I can't even fathom how much money they're flushing down the toilet on those awful campaigns. Now, was it awesome to go to the LA Auto Show and see like TIE fighters, life-size TIE fighters hanging from the ceiling? Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And I was glad they did it. Was that a smart buy? I don't know. I think they definitely need to fix their CVTs. I'm not going to say they need to give them up. And the only reason I'd say that is because even if it gives them a 1 to 2 mile per gallon bump, it probably gives them more than that. That is what is selling cars right now. And they would be foolish to do something that would work counter to that strategy. But they are pretty awful in terms of CVT feel. They're one of the worst. Actually, they probably are my least favorite transmission. So I think that maybe mixing it up a little bit with investing in their CVT to make it better Not. If anybody saw my Altima all-wheel drive video, I have a lot of issues with Nissan's kind of cheaping out in certain areas where they really shouldn't cheap out. I feel they kind of cheap out on the all-wheel drive system because that coupler cannot handle extended runtime. You run it for a while with traction control off, it's going to overheat. And I was surprised when I looked online to see if I was alone in this, that I wasn't. There's a lot of reports of rogues and stuff. Now, I don't include that necessarily. I mean, I did discuss that in my video on that review, but in general, it's anecdotal evidence. It's not like I don't have exact specific instances and that kind of stuff. So it's hard to really pin it down. But clearly, if you do a look online, there are issues with how people are driving the rogues and the all-wheel drive systems overheating when doing just fun jaunts around town. And I feel like that's not okay. Also, their interiors, I don't know. I had a rental Rogue when I was in filming with Larry a few weeks ago at Ammo NYC, a couple months ago at Ammo NYC out in Connecticut. And to jump into that Rogue, now that was a 2019. I'll have a 2020 that I'll actually do a proper review of and take it off-road and snow and all that stuff coming up. But the rental, it just coming from other 2020 vehicles which have improved so dramatically, and then getting back into the Rogue with its awful little screen and all-wheel drive that doesn't feel like all-wheel drive. It kind of is like Mazda's in that regard where you're like, is this really an all-wheel drive? It doesn't feel like it. And I think that they need to improve on those things. They need to be able to say that, you're driving this, you're not just checking a box for all-wheel drive. You want to drive it as an all-wheel drive. You enjoy driving your car. They don't seem to focus on the enjoyment of driving. Instead, they seem very much desperate to check as many boxes as possible for what people want in a car without actually making those aspects enjoyable. Yes, they have a collision mitigation system with a little button that apparently will let somebody drive. That Star Wars ad they did a year ago where she was concerned, and so she hit the button to help her drive on the highway between cars. I don't get that. So, yeah, Nissan's got a lot of issues. I think they have, like the newest car, what was it, that little one that I just drove, the Versa. I actually think the new Versa is actually pretty good. It's a good step in the right direction for them. Hopefully they can do more of those good steps in the right directions and make better products. So I think it's product. Product is their problem, and they're wasting money marketing on not great products compared to everybody else. And, several years ago, their products were fine, but everybody else has gotten so much better in such a short period of time. When do you think we'll see EVs with newer battery technology? I have no idea. It all comes down to production timelines. And I read about this really cool technology that was developed at MIT years ago, and it should have been in development. It should have been out by now, but it's clearly not. Where they use electric fluid. So you basically fill your car up with electric fluid, drive it, go to a gas station type of place, plug in this thing that it sucks the used fluid out and pushes in fresh electric fluid. And then while it's storing the electric fluid at the station, it has charging panels or grid or however it wants to recharge that fluid and put it into other vehicles as they're coming up. It's like a self-circulation system. The only issue you would have is balancing the fluids to make sure that you have enough storage space for all the storage and output. But I thought that was brilliant. But yeah, I read about it 4 years ago, and they thought it would be 2 years to commercialize, and I haven't heard a thing about it since. Maybe they ran into an issue. I don't know. There's a lot of really cool battery tech just right around the corner. But I think that before it comes to cars, I mean, you're going to hear a lot more about it before it comes into cars. They're not going to introduce it as, hey, cars have a new way of doing it. And I think that that's time. Let's see here. What is my subscriber count at? We're at 99,970. 30 more subscribers. I'm going to start calling friends up and asking them to subscribe at this rate because we're so gross. Auto manufacturer CVT. Yeah, it's I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell automakers to not use CVTs, and honestly, people always say Subaru, why are you using CVTs? You need to go back to your manual transmissions. It's like, have you seen their sales figures? They'd be foolish to move away from the formula that is making them gain year over year at an insane rate. Do they like money? I think they do. So they're going to keep using CVTs because that formula is working. And more realistically, my in-laws bought one of the new Foresters when it came out last year, and they drive. They take care of their elderly parents, I guess parent, and they drive from Seattle to Portland and back, or Seattle to Salem and back. I'm not sure where he is. I think he might be in Salem. But anyway, they drive Seattle to Salem and back like once, twice a week. They put on insane miles. And they say that like when they moved to the Forester, they love the eyesight. They love the way it drives. They love the seats. They love everything about it. They've never once complained about the CVT because outside of the automotive enthusiast world, nobody complains about the CVTs unless, of course, it breaks. And you know, I might even say my father-in-law is an enthusiast because his favorite car, the car that he bought 4 years ago, and says he is never, ever, no, he bought it like 6 years ago, and he is never, ever, ever, ever going to sell. Actually, he's had it for 10 years now that I think about it. Anyway, I'll get to the point. He has a 2004 Forester with a manual transmission. He was considering buying a new car a few years ago, and he's like, no, I'm just going to put the money in my Forester. He had the interior completely redone in leather, put new wheels on it, new tires. He loves that thing. He actually just told me the other day, he is never selling that car. Yet he still really loves the new CVT Forester as well, in a different way. So I think it's just like, as much as we complain about the CVT, it's not a problem for most consumers. If I was to get a 4Runner, which generation are you going to get? I really like that new army green color, although my wife doesn't, so I don't think she would approve that. I like anything after 96. I would take any of them. I actually really like the 96. I used to own a 96, but I don't think I would buy one that's that old at this point. But I like all of them for different reasons, so I would be fine with a 2020. Give me a million subscribers, I will be buying myself a 4Runner, and I will probably buy whatever year is that year for that one. Let's see. The V8 one. The V8 was kind of cool. Yeah. Although, gas. Where's the question? This always jumps just as I'm about to read half of the question. Alvin Brock is asking, why would anybody turn off traction control for jaunts around town? Around town, not so much, but forest roads, absolutely. And I think that's really what it comes down to is yes. So this of course separates the enthusiast versus how somebody would really drive it every day. And so for the person who is just looking for a more secure driving position in terms of stability of the vehicle, yeah, the all-wheel drive system's kind of fine. I don't feel like it puts a lot of power to the back when we're talking about the Altima. I'm talking about the Altima at least, the Altima all-wheel drive. But it makes me a little concerned when just turning off traction control overheats the coupler so quickly. It just doesn't seem like that's really overbuilt for a lot of use. So instead, you're relying on the brakes to really kind of keep things in check. And I don't know if that's going to cause long-term durability issues or not. Now, that said, not everybody lives in the city. If I didn't live in the city, I grew up not in the city, by the way, I would probably drive absolutely everywhere with traction control off because I enjoy that very much. I don't consider it dangerous because I can usually control a car pretty well, and I also don't do stupid things in stupid places. So if I'm going to slide a vehicle, it's only on a thing where I can see a mile around. I know that there's nobody there. I've gone back and forth. I've double checked, and there is slide room in case I make a mistake or the unexpected happens. So it's not like I'm driving like an idiot around here. but I just enjoy a little bit of twitch, and I also like to feel what the car is doing. I feel very often that a lot of the modern systems in snow specifically will automatically just seize up everything when it detects a little bit of slip, which isn't what you want all the time in snow. I knew this even in high school. Case in point, we had a freak snowstorm my last year of high school. I was driving a 1978 Honda Civic, which I can pull a picture up of, I think. It's not on that computer. Anyway, it was a little egg, basically, of a car. And because it was this freak snowfall, I think they let everybody out an hour early or something, so everybody's travel schedules were messed up. And it just dumped snow. I felt very confident, more confident than I probably should have felt, but here nor there. And I drove. I picked up all my friends I picked up a couple friends at the high school, and then I was picking up a friend's sister at the middle school. On the way to the middle school, I turned the car, and the car just kept going straight because it was sliding. So what I did is I laid in the throttle, which turned the nose of the car, and so my car was going this way. It was an intersection, and there was a car here. And yeah, I was probably driving a little too quick. That's not really the point here. But I put the brakes on, and the car slid towards the other car. Now, what I did was, instinctively, I laid in the throttle and turned the wheels. So the car did this, and I avoided hitting anybody. With a modern car with traction control and an all-wheel drive vehicle, now that was a front-wheel drive car, granted, but there's no guarantee that it would. My nephew is trying to tell me something wrong about my father-in-law's vehicle. No, his vehicle is actually a manual. His old Forester is a 5-speed manual. Moving on. Anyway, so there's certain conditions where a little bit of twitch and a little bit of more control of the vehicle, if you know what the vehicle is going to do and respond, is better than some of these modern systems that in general improve safety, but I don't feel like as a driver I want to give up that much control all the time, especially in slippery conditions where I know I'm slipping and where I feel like I can control the car better. My style of driving, when I did a Chump Car years ago, we did an Enduro, I was one of the overnight drivers. I had one of the fastest laps during the hour where it was absolute pouring down rain. I enjoy driving in low traction situations. And I feel like a lot of the modern systems get a little overboard on that. And a car like the Altima with its all-wheel drive system, I feel like it's just... It doesn't do what an all-wheel drive car should do. It's a bare check mark of safety, like, oh, I have all-wheel drive, so I'll be fine. But it doesn't use that all-wheel drive for handling as much as it should. It's just there to give a little assist. And I don't think people should be paying for a system like that. That isn't like actual all-wheel drive, isn't actually helping with the handling, isn't actually able to operate all the time without overheating. I probably belabored this a little bit, and I don't know if everybody or anybody agrees with me, but that's my perspective on this one. Okay. So thank you for your question, Alvin. I hope that answered it. I don't know if you agree with it, but that's my take on it. Probably way too long. Whoa, somebody said something about donut. What? Donuts? I could really use a donut right now. Okay. Quality is approved. Cars tire. Wow. Lots of questions. I'm going to try to get to all of these. Are there any front-wheel drive cars with an LSD that can come close to a Legacy XT on a wet road? Civic Type R. Moving on. I wish the current Forester had 200 horsepower. Yep. You and me both. It's no video Nissan, their CVT. Yeah, okay. Oh, Donut Media? Oh, they're still doing videos, huh? Nissan needs a 10-year powertrain. Yeah, actually, that is a good step in the right direction. I agree. 10-year powertrain. I don't know if they've run the numbers and they said, yeah, we can't really do that or not. But maybe. Nissan, Yeah, it's kind of like Nissan needs a whole new perspective on what they're doing and why they're doing it. Kia, Hyundai, those cars in the 90s were crap. They were awful. I wouldn't really say that Nissan is currently the Kia, Hyundai from the 90s because paint fell off the cars back then and those things rusted through, even in areas where we don't use salt. Those things were horrible. I had a friend that had an Excel. Actually, more accurately, a friend's dad had an Excel. I was too young to have a friend who was driving one of those at the time. Love the blah, blah, just give the Forester 250. Why did Nissan go ultra reliable in the 90s to Dodge today? Sorry, I'm just going to run through some of these, see if there's anything questions. There's a lot of chatter. It's going to be a long evening. Oh, maybe it will be. Where are we at now? Oh, I should probably tell my wife not going to be home in time to drive daughter to MA, still on live stream. Okay. Yeah, let's see how we're doing on that live stream count. I am hosting this live stream until we hit 100,000 subscribers. We're currently at 99,971. I am halfway through my voice. I have a bottle of gin just waiting to be tapped into, but I am only going to do that when I hit 100,000. And we're at 99,000. Oh, wait, let me actually do a refresh on that page. It doesn't auto-refresh. We're on 99,972. So close. Apparently, my wife is not terribly stoked that I'm not going to be home in time for dinner. But, you know, I do it for you guys. Okay. Where are we at now? Questions. Yeah, Nissan does need to bring back reliable and not just cheap-feeling vehicles. Now, it's possible that the new Versa will meet that criteria, but only time will tell. I think that it has a really nice technology package. I mean, it has collision mitigation and all that stuff. Standard. Well, no, it's not standard, but it's available. Does it have standard? I don't even remember anymore. Watch my video. I talk about it in my teen driving video. Wow, so many questions. BMW needs price SCR Sentra. The old SCR Sentra. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I had a really bad driving experience in the Rogue. It made me nauseous. 2 separate accounts of winding roads. Yeah, it's just not a great car. Now, Subaru does make other commercials than just car commercial, dog commercials, but I think that maybe, well, they did a whole stretch of them, but maybe that's the target demographic ads you just happen to be receiving. They do a lot of, LGBT ads, but those are specifically targeting that market. And did you know that's actually the source of the whole like lesbians and Foresters thing? Came from early advertising that Subaru did. They did like this marketing to the LGBT community, targeting, I think it was like a financing deal for their cars way before anybody else was really working in that market space. And because of that, a lot of people in that community purchased those cars, which led to that whole perception thing that kind of still sticks around today, although I don't know why it's an issue, but whatever. Which Fit model is best? Honestly, if I was to buy a Fit, I would want the base model. I just like the Fit is just great basic because it's a basic small car. And I think that once you start adding in the features, you start to question why. That is, unless you just want something with loaded features, which is fine. We turned on your live stream. I guess I'll just turn on. Hey, was okay with Subaru driven. What's inside? Blah, 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 blah. I'm assuming most of your subscribers are Subaru owners, and I don't have an issue with that. I find that interesting. We do have a lot of. Sorry, the counter's blocked. We do have a lot of subscribers that are Subaru owners. That mostly, I think, comes from the fact that because I used to own a Subaru magazine, among some other things. I mean, we also did Mazda and a bunch of other stuff. But we've worked a lot with the Subaru PR people, so we've always been invited to like the early launches. So we've had like first look at the new WRX when it was in 2015. We've done just a lot of coverage. We get a lot of exclusive coverage because their PR team is so awesome and works with us to basically ask us what we want to do, which is really great. And because of that, we get first looks at things, which means that it just attracts a lot of Subaru viewers, I think. Also, you know, it's a very active online community. There are some other active online communities, but in our universe, it seems to, you know, YouTube content is created for the people who are viewing. And so as we have a lot of Subaru viewers, I mean, pretty much every Subaru video we do does really well. And, you know, there's some others, like our Honda videos also do really well. Some other videos like BMW, I don't even know why I make them, other than the fact that I want to make sure to keep my hand in and say, yeah, I've driven that car and I can compare it and I have footage of it so I can use it in a comparison while I'm talking about another car. But those videos, nobody watches those on our channel, and I'm not really sure why, but they don't. So it is what it is. Subaru. I'm trying to go through the questions. We are doing the 100,000 countdown. We should hit 100,000 subscribers. Now, a recap. Again, I know everybody who's watching right now is completely bored of this, but we did 100,000. Sorry, I'm going to phrase that. YouTube rounds up the API counter. So this third-party counter only shows 99,900. Also, if you go to our page, they round the number, so it might say 100,000. But the fact is that we are currently at, let me just hit a refresh here. We are currently at 99,973,000. We're not quite there yet. Let's see. What do we have here? Questions. We still have lots of questions coming in. I'm going to try to answer all of them best I can. Subaru all-wheel drive. Great video you did on that. Thank you. Which manufacturer had the best adaptive cruise control system in the market, for my opinion? So the level here for current cruise control systems, the target is not just lane detection, collision mitigation, and spacing, but it's also lane tracing. If you don't do lane tracing, at least as an option, you're not going to be a best in class. And I hate to say it, but Subaru's eyesight system on the new Outback with lane trace is pretty amazing. It doesn't get many false negatives. Like, it's not going to track me off onto because of surface irregularities as often as some other systems. The Volvo system is also really good. The Cadillac XT6, I think I remember that one. I'd need to watch that video again. You guys haven't seen that video yet, but I did film a video. And I think it was pretty good as well, too. But the Subaru one, eyesight, and it's not just me. I mean, eyesight is one of the top-rated safety systems. And the fact that they added lane tracing, the thing I don't understand is why they haven't shoehorned lane tracing into the new Ascent. I kind of expected them to do that, and I got the new Ascent Limited, and it didn't have it. But the Outback does. I think it's only on the Outback right now, if I'm not mistaken, and it is pretty amazing. Yeah, and some of the luxury, there's a lot of luxury car makers have really good systems. Acura, I seem to get a lot of can't function right now errors because of stuff on their front grille or whatever. So they're not my favorite. Honda for the same reason. Anyway, so I think that's just off the top of my head without actually looking. I'm sure I'm forgetting some system that's really amazing. But keep in mind, I just drove 2 Subarus in a row, so that's kind of like fresh in my brain right now. And then I have a Colorado ZR2 coming on Monday. today I'm not actually driving anything special. I'm just driving my 04 WRX, which I drive like a few times a year, but we're in between schedules. Actually, I could read off my schedule in a minute here so you can see what vehicles we have coming up. Should have brought a sleeping bag and a lantern. Oh, come on. It's not going to be that long. Oh, I should tell my wife I can pick my daughter up, though. Oh. If I know you're watching, I'll be good. Apparently, my wife didn't think that the subject I was talking about when she happened to tune in was appropriate for our kids. Let's see. Oh, I can pick her up from MA probably. However. Okay. Where are we at here? Questions. Do any manufacturers who plant cars that are two-wheel drive offer reliable all-wheel drives? I think Honda. I mean, you could say Honda's primary lineup are still two-wheel drive vehicles, and they have IVTM4 is amazing. And I think that even, what's the other one? I think even the new CR-V system is better than the old one. It's still not great, but it's much better than the old ones. Subaru on a roll call. Okay. Was Adam? Oh yeah, there we go. I love your Outback and Ascent videos. Thank you, Vicus. That's great. Did you experience the CBT on the Outback quitting to protect itself when you were climbing any hills or obstacles? Apparently that is a problem, says DL. No, I did not. I did not cut anything out of the video, nor did I exclude anything. And of course, we did do the hills and stuff perhaps more time than was even on camera. I think I did. I know I did with the Outback. I think the Ascent, no, I think we used all of the climbs in the Ascent, but that said, I did not exclude anything. If it did overheat while doing something, I would have mentioned that in the video. I would have, just like I've done for like the Altima, and I even included it in the Honda Passport video where it had a slight overheat after I was completely thrashing on it for a very long time. So I would have mentioned that if that was the case. That was not the case. Ground clearance hurts mileage, and a lot of people buy those cars for their mileage capability. And, of course, if you want something higher, just buy one of the other versions that's higher. I mean, a Legacy is basically an Outback. A Impreza is basically a Crosstrek. The only difference really comes down to some of the engine choices that they offer on one but not the other. But I would say, no, I'm perfectly happy with the ground clearances. Personal opinion. It's fine. Which Toyota would come out with a Wrangler competitor, something slightly larger than the Wrangler with the Camry 4-liter? That would be weird. Something slightly larger. So you want a small 4Runner, right? I think a lot of people who had the 4Runners before are now seriously considering the new RAV4s. I think even TFL did a video where they interviewed some dude who did that. I don't see the capability as the same at all, but I think some people are definitely seeing that, maybe it's because they have different needs now that they're older, or they just don't need a Jeep capability. The fact is that the Wrangler, it's even though the new version handles way better on roads, it still doesn't handle great. It feels like you're driving this thing that's kind of like this mush ball. Subaru should do what Volvo used to do with their sedans. Remember the S60 Cross Country? The Cross Country. Do you remember the Subaru SUS sedan? That thing was hideous. I still see them every once in a while. They're actually kind of retro cool at this point, but at the time it was like, why would anybody want that? I don't want that. Bring back the FJ Cruiser. Yeah, the FJ Cruiser was cool. But I think the fact is that those people are buying 4Runners, and they're buying more 4Runners this year than they did last year, and which is more than they bought the year before that. The 4Runner is definitely on an uptick, and it's doing great. My wife keeps texting me. Okay, she agrees. Um, yeah, the fuel mileage. The problem with it takes so many years to develop a vehicle, and currently our fuel interests are going up and down, and the only safe pattern for anybody to take this way is through electrification, or at least really high economy. So I can't really see an FJ really, making it. Oh, cool. Yeah, RAV4 XSE up to Lake Tahoe. Hope that goes well. I mean, honestly, those cars are really good. Yeah, I mean, you could nitpick them to death, but I mean, the only thing I don't like about the XSE is that or just the RAV4 non-hybrid, is that the motor's a little buzzy on the freeway, and I don't know why. It doesn't seem like that should have to be. The Forester has no power, but it is smoother on the freeway, and I kind of like that on the Forester. Yeah, Kiss Kiss. It was the guy who went from the RAV4 to the 4Runner. I never actually watched that episode, but YouTube keeps suggesting it to me. I wonder why. Do you think we'll hear any announcements at the Chicago Auto Show? For what? Yes, we will hear announcements. Subaru typically does their announcements, if that's what you're asking about, at the Tokyo Auto Show. And they, I think we're seeing the new Levorg, which would probably be related to the new WRX. So I don't think we'll see anything in Chicago because it's too early. But maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I think the TRD RAV4 is a little overly expensive. Oh, anything of interest at all announced at the Chicago Auto Show? I have not looked at the lineup. I have absolutely no idea. I wish I did. But I don't know. Sorry. Let's see what we have in terms of viewer. Let's see our subscriber count as we are marching to 100,000. This live stream is what? We're on hour 2 now, I think. And we are at 99,977. Was that 23? We need 23 more subscribers, and we'll hit 100,000. And I break out the gin. Okay. What else have we got to talk about here? Oh, my wife's sending a photo of the kids having dinner. Oh, hey, I'm having dinner with the kids. Hey, everybody. Hope you're eating your lettuce and your veggies. What photo would we have there? Oh, it's potato night. Nice. Stuffed potatoes are the best. So, is there anything about the redesign? Let's see. Is there anything about the redesign of Grand Cherokee? Sorry, nope, don't know anything. Oh, Layla and Evan, thank you so much for subscribing. I plan to do all the snow videos I can. The one thing that's going to possibly hamper our snow videos is that the forestry department shuts down the forest roads as soon as we start getting snow, and then they plow them. They plow the roads up to them so that we have a huge 20-foot berm in front of them. The roads that are allowed to stay accessible, they do not plow at all. So as time goes on through the winter seasons, we may not get snow for a while, but some of the roads are still going to be covered in very deep, icy snow that is impossible to get through. I mean, it is really hard without chains or whatever. But heck, if I have to throw chains on to get to a filming location, I will be doing that because I really enjoy those snow videos and I want to do a lot more of them. My opinion of the Golf R. I drove the Golf R a while ago. No, that was the R32. Haven't driven the newest one. I think that it looks really good on paper. Yeah, that's all I got to say. I actually really like the new Golfs in general, and the new Haldex is not bad. You saw the new Haldex in use in the Volkswagen Tiguan all-wheel drive review that I did. And as, I mean, a lot of people saw, it does a really good job. It uses sensors to clamp down, to send power, and it holds that clamp, and it does a really good job of redistributing power. Much, much, much better than I had really expected it to. Still, not everybody's cup of tea. I think the Golf R is generally overpriced. Most of Volkswagen's special editions are seriously overpriced for what they are. But I mean, having driven them, I can kind of see the attraction. You know, I think you have to really be a Volkswagen person though to really like the Volkswagens, and I know lots of people that are. So if you're like, well, what's a Volkswagen person? If you were one, you would know. Can't wait to see the Pentastar V6 successor. I like the V6. It sounds totally different depending on the model. It's best in the Wrangler. Yes. The Pentastar is fantastic. My wife just texted me. So she sent me a photo of the kids having dinner with my live stream that I'm doing at the table. And she just texted me that it's just like a normal night with you talking about nothing but cars all the way through dinner. Love you too, hon. I would love to see an all-wheel drive hybrid comparison in the snow. Comparison videos are, to be honest, quite difficult to do. But I think that individual reviews would make more sense right now for us because you have to double your crew. Basically, everything needs to be doubled to do comparisons because you need extra drivers, extra cameras, all that stuff. And it just becomes really expensive for what we get out of YouTube videos. I think it would get a lot of views. But I think right now we're going to focus on doing individuals so we can focus a lot of information about those vehicles. Although I'm not going to count it out. If the option presents itself, I definitely will want to do something like that. So X-Mode Moto55YZ is saying they'd like to see X-Mode tested in soft sand. Well, because we live in the Pacific Northwest, without driving 3 hours, there's not a lot of soft sand available to test in. That said, I actually found some last year. If you look at our Toyota TRD Tacoma review, there is a segment where we bury the car in soft sand and get it out. I didn't know that was available. I didn't know that had that much soft sand. So I do want to do something like that with a lot of these vehicles. I'll bring traction boards with me and all that kind of stuff so we don't get stranded. But I think that actually is a really good idea. And that's something that we definitely are looking at for this coming year. I didn't find that location until just kind of end of last season. But I think it's something that we could look forward to coming up. Now, we do have to only do it during dry months because the sand needs to be soft, not wet. So for the Pacific Northwest, that basically means July and August. So it's a very small window, but I think we'll see what we can do to do those kind of videos coming up. Let's check our view count, see how we're doing here. We are marching to 100,000 subscribers. I am live streaming until we hit that number, or my wife calls me and says, "You're done. Time to come home." We are currently at 99,978 subscribers. So close. 22 more subscribers. Do you have 22 friends? Call them up. Have them subscribe. My wife would appreciate it. I'm sure she'd like me to come home at some point. Now, if you do look at our channel page, it might round up to 100,000, but that's not the actual figure. Their API is just designed around rounding to hundreds these days, as you can see on the number next to me right now. Let's see. What else do we have going on here? Let's do... more dual mode X mode tests. I agree with you. We have actually put in a request with Subaru to get multiple dual X mode equipped vehicles. Normally, we get a vehicle once. It's a one and done. We get the car, it goes back. We put in a request to do several X mode, dual X mode specifically, videos over the next couple seasons. Because like I said, when I started this live stream about 2.5 hours ago, I'm sure you weren't watching the whole time. Somebody was asking about dual X mode, and I think it's a very interesting system. But I feel like even though we have done that snow test that we did with the Forester 2 years ago, I still feel like there's a lot of, we just don't know about how it responds in very specific situations. And I think there's a lot we can explore on that. So I definitely want to do more of that. I want to also test more with the Toyota system. with their torque vectoring, like with a RAV4 Adventure. So we're trying to get another, well, we haven't actually had the RAV4 Adventure yet, but I'd like to get one that has their torque vectoring system as well, to do a little bit more of that kind of stuff. How about quicksand? Yeah, we don't have quicksand here. Do you think Mazda's all-wheel drive system is equal or better than? No, I don't like it at all. If you looked at my which review was that? I think that was a CX-5 review. Yes, I think it was the CX-5. Both in the CX-5 as well as the Mazda 3 hatchback all-wheel drive, it drives like a front-wheel drive car all the time. I don't know when that all-wheel drive kicks in or does anything. Now, we didn't take either of those cars off-road because they don't have enough clearance. It was definitely a clearance issue because they're kind of much more road going. It's kind of the same reason we don't take the Acura RDX off-road. If you have less than 7 inches of ground clearance, and I think that was really close, if I'm not mistaken, that was really close to 7 inches of ground clearance. Maybe I'll Google that. What was that? CX-5 ground clearance. 7.5 inches. Yeah, that's not enough. Now, granted, I have taken some cheaper cars up there that had less than that much ground clearance, and it was kind of sketchy. So I'm not going to do an off-road test with it, but I will say that like the gravel slip test and all that stuff, even just driving it around town, it never felt like it was driving like an all-wheel drive car. It drove like a front-wheel drive car 99% of the time. It felt like one of the older Haldex systems. I know it's not using a Haldex system. I don't know what it is using because when I asked for technical information, they couldn't give me any or didn't want to give me any. But as far as, I think Mazda does some things just amazing. Their Miata is, I'm so glad the Miata is a car that is still built. I really like their cars front-wheel drive for front-wheel drive cars. But their all-wheel drive system just doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't. I think it's probably one of the last on my list. Let's see. Do you think Mazda? Okay, I love the test you did for the Subaru release outing you did. Best I've seen so far. Was that? Oh, the Outback press. That is one of my favorite press trips of all time. For a manufacturer, now more manufacturers are doing this now than they did even just a couple years ago. But I think I was saying about 2.5 hours ago that when I first started filming car reviews for YouTube back in 2007, we would show up at a press launch, invited to a press launch, and very often car makers didn't know what to do with us. They're like, what do you mean you need to like take a car for an hour to do whatever you want because we have a program we're on? It's like, well, we can't film a car if we're constantly driving to the next destination. We need to stop and film the car. We can't, unless we have a crew car, which we don't, we can't send a car ahead and do this. This isn't Top Gear. So it was really problematic to film. Subaru was one of the earlier companies to recognize, and it might be in part because we back in that point, and I think, Okay, so I had a camera problem. My stream is still alive. I will be right back. I just power lead that was producing not enough juice, and I was fine for a couple hours, but it finally ran out. I'm not dead yet. Okay, let's. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a glitch here. I'm just going to try to get the main stream working again here. Seems like we had a little bit of a hiccup. Not sure why audio is not sending on that now. Audio back into that. It just doesn't like that. Let's see. How's this sounding? I bet this is awful because this is just my max audio, which isn't great. But I guess that'll fill for right now. Let me. Kind of pipe this in while I'm trying to get the audio sorted out here. Sorry about this. Didn't expect for this stream to go quite this long, so I wasn't really set up for doing that. I just kind of forgot that the battery was going to die on my camera. It doesn't need to use the battery all the time, but you know, it couldn't suck in enough juice to keep it alive. Anyway, give me one more second here while I get the audio sorted, because right now this secondary audio is not ideal. I need to get that. Why isn't that working? Might have to stick with this right now because I don't know if I could trouble it. It seems like the audio is just cut out from my mixer up there. Huh. Oh, anyway. Don't have that. Okay. Anyway, we're just going to suffer through this while we're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. Because we are close. We are close, but we're not quite there yet. No, I cannot sign. Oh, let me turn this audio off there. Kind of wonder, that's kind of weird. Why did I can see the audio is working on my main mixer, but it's not picking up. Oh, I bet this thing reset. It always resets back to a secondary input when it loses signal. Let me just see if maybe that's it. Audio, yeah, switch to analog. Okay, switch that back to that. Now we should have primary audio again. Yes, we do. Okay. Now we should have. Let me check audio. Make sure that's good. It's probably echoey. Get rid of the echo. Okay, now we should be good. Sound check. Oh, turn that one off. Send that over. Now we should be good. Good. Right, Mike? Yay! So we're back. Sorry about that. So just for those who know or are curious, I was running my camera on battery, but it actually had a power lead. But the power was a USB-C, but I didn't realize it was plugged into one of the lower wattage blocks because I didn't expect this stream to last so long. So when it's doing that, it'll use battery, but it kind of tops it off as it goes. So a battery that would normally last like an hour lasts 2.5 hours. But the problem is it won't last 3 hours. So long story short, everything went down and it reset my input. Anyway, we're still here. You can see the stream is great. Just had a little bit of a camera issue there. So as I was saying, yeah, wouldn't that just be awful? Like after all of this, having it crash before I hit 100,000, like as I hit 100,000, that would have just been, but it's not. So we're currently at, let's get a count update after all of that, 99,982 subscriptions. We are, anybody say 18 subscribers away. Do you know 18 people? Get them to subscribe, and I will be able to go home and see my family. But for right now, we are still here. I am going to get myself some more coffee, though. So I think while I get some coffee, I'm going to play a little, let's go way back. Oh, yeah. Subaru fans will like this. I want to pull up something really old. Something very, very, very old. And I'll play this in the background. This is probably cringy. I'm sure this is very cringy. Let me get the audio up on it too so you can hear it. Where's that audio going through? I think it's going through that one. Hopefully you can hear that. Oh yeah. Remember Cobb Tuning? They're still around. They do good stuff. How's this for a walk through memory lane? It's its earpiece. That goes, oh, it goes that way. See if we got any audio on this. No, we don't, do we? Let's try to get some audio on that. Oh, I got to do...
In this episode of Driving Sports TV, we get you up close and personal with the one-off Subaru Legacy GTK.
Not getting audio on that. I think I knocked out one or more things when I had originally planned on, when I was trying to get this, when I killed this the last time. Anyway, you can look at the pictures while I go get some more coffee.
For the GTK, Subaru started with a 2.5-liter turbo motor and a 6-speed manual transmission from the 2010 Legacy GT sedan. By merely modifying the exhaust system and the ECU tune, they managed to coax out 300 horsepower and 350 foot-pounds of torque from the otherwise standard engine. That right there is an increase of 45 horsepower and 92 foot-pounds of torque over the stock.
Opted for water instead. Boy, how was that long ago? This is like a decade ago. This was Subaru's GTK Legacy, built for the SEMA show in Vegas. I think we filmed this out in... Oh yeah, I forgot a go-kart fit in the back because that was a thing. We filmed this down, I think, in Venice Beach. I think. For existing is to simply be parked for a week on. Get my earpiece back in.
Does it really matter how well it drives? Well, to Subaru, it does.
How's that? Oh, I'm so young.
Like we saw on the Forester XDI concept the year before, this Legacy GTK drives as close to production as you can imagine. Just like any reasonably modified Legacy GT, power is brisk, and the setup is...
It's so exciting watching me drive through the parking lot.
In short, the GTK is the Legacy most car guys wish Subaru would sell. But unfortunately,
I'm not even sure if this one's on YouTube. I don't know if I've ever posted this one. I should probably
Still, we know it's in the back of their minds, which is promising. So maybe someday it will return.
Why did I show the John Deere?
Just as likely as them providing a free go-kart in the trunk with every purchase.
Wow, that's some triumphant music. Oh man. I haven't 2010. That was 9 years ago. Oh boy. Wow. Okay. There's that. We are marching to 100,000 subscribers, and we are currently at 99,900 and still 82. 99,982. Nobody's added a subscription in the last 30 minutes. Sorry, last 30 seconds. Okay, let's move it on. Yeah, so this is what 2 kids will get you. Seriously. Like, you hit your 40s, you have 2 kids, gone. Also, genetics. I'm just looking through questions here to see if there's anything. Oh, am I getting an echo? Are we getting an echo now? No, but I can shut off this other audio. I don't need that on anymore. Let's see. Yeah, no, all of our stuff is labeled not for kids. Yeah, so that those new laws, it's kind of funny, like the fact that people are unaware that the COPA laws existed prior. I mean, it seems like YouTube is pretty late to the game on that thing, and to pretend like they didn't know what was going on is kind of crazy. Okay, let's see what else we got. Hello, 92 Justy. I don't look a day over 21. Ha. Maybe in that video. Oh, actually, in that video, I was in my 30s, definitely, when I shot that one. Alvin Brock, can I subscribe twice? I don't think YouTube works that way. Was the grill logo aftermarket? I think, I don't remember. That was a long time ago. I think that was an optional grill. Can anybody correct me if I'm wrong on that one? It was a long time ago. You love your Forester, Fournier? Sorry, can't tell how that's pronounced. The grill on the Forester looks the same grill on that 909 Legacy. Oh, interesting point. Yeah, it's supposed to be like airplane wings, is the idea. Start drinking the gin and watch the subs. So I will make it tonight, Matthew Johnson. I will. And I know this because I get X number of subscriptions a day, and I'm basing the fact that I'm even doing this on that. So I'm hoping that it stays close to like that we continue to get subs, basically, because otherwise this was a very bad idea. Hey, 574-104. Thank you for watching the channel. I really appreciate it. Well, a lot of according to, based on what Levant is saying, yeah, they're kind of stealing Saab's idea, but there's a lot of car companies that come from airplanes. I mean, Mitsubishi built airplanes. I think we all know which ones. Subaru built airplanes. Saab built airplanes. So it's, because the very first Subaru was built out of the cockpit of an airplane. It was it was a piece of an airplane, and it was the first Rabbit scooters. The wheels were landing gear off of a small plane or something. There was some kind of weird thing like that. So it seems like the parts just kind of transition well to automotive, very much like Rolls-Royce, because they built motors for aviation. Same thing. Those motors are fantastic in high-end luxury cars. Do you fly airplanes by any chance? No. Have I flown an airplane? Yes. When I was growing up, I grew up in the San Juan Islands, which is on the Canadian border, which is a fairly small island community. My grandfather sold real estate, one of his many, many, many careers. And while he was doing that, he got his pilot's license, and he flew island to island very often, which sounds fancy and kind of luxurious, I think, to people who don't live in islands. But when you live in an area where there are lots of islands and the only way to get there is hours by boat or you just hop on a plane, it was kind of a little bit more common. I mean, there was some kids in my school commuted in airplanes to go to school. Not terribly unusual. But anyway, that said, I flew with my grandfather quite a few times, and he even let me run the stick a few times, which was made my brother throw up. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Now I actually have a drone license. I know it's not the same thing, but I do. That's how I fly these days. Never knew Subaru. I never knew Subaru, but Mitsubishi and Saab I knew, but I prefer Saab. Yeah, Subaru used to build bombers. That was their gig. Let's leave it at that. That was a long time ago. Totally different people. Totally different world. Let's see. How many subscribers do we have? We are marching to 100,000. I'm going to drink a bottle of gin as soon as we hit it. We're 3 hours, 21, 39 seconds into this stream. We've made it a long ways, but we're not quite there yet. I should do like a whole telethon. Get all my buddies to come in and we'll all be like, I don't know, subscription from Poughkeepsie. Yay, thank you. I don't know. I don't think that's going to work. Sometimes I should try on ideas before I share them. I thought about having call-ins, but I just didn't really want to. I don't know. People are having dinner now. I don't want to like ask them to call in for a show while having dinner. Okay, where are we at? 99,983. Now, I will say that usually subscriptions do kind of slow down this time of day because people are driving home, they're having dinner on the West Coast. On the East Coast, it's getting a little bit later. People aren't hanging out so much, but we're still making progress. We are, what's the quick math on that? 17 subscribers away from hitting 100,000 subscribers. Wow, that's a lot. I know it's not as many as like Mr. Beast, but you know, I'll take it. I'm proud of this. This is cool. And I'm thankful for you guys who watch and tune in and join me on these ridiculously long live streams. As we march together to 100,000 subscribers. And that makes sense to me. You know, it's because we build this channel together. I listen to you. You guys give me suggestions in the comment section. I may not reply to them, but I think about them. And like I said in the snow video, you know, we hear you, we listen to you. We go like, can we make that happen? Sometimes the answer is no, but when it does, it's pretty awesome. And it helps guide our channel to be better and better. And I thank you guys for being great listeners, watchers, and for that two-way conversation, which I think makes the channel better. Let's see there. Subcount. Yeah. So for aviation direction and for people who are unaware, YouTube changed their API in September. So third-party counters can only access in increments of 100. So I have a separate counter on my screen, but unfortunately it's tied in. It shows all the specs for the channel, which I don't really want to make public. But unfortunately, so that counter, or I guess I should say, that counter should tick over to 100,000 the moment it actually gets to 100,000, but it won't show you the increments between now and then. It was just the best looking counter I could find to put up on the screen. That's why I keep keeping you in the loop on what the actual count is. That's really just a placeholder for the 100,000 when it ticks over. But we're at 99,986 subscribers. Thank you to whoever subscribed last. I wish I could get a list of subscribers so I could thank individual people, but I don't think I have a screen for that. Yeah, no, it only shows me recent top subscribers. It doesn't show me who did it when. So I know that like For the Love of Life subscribed at some point, but it's only showing it to me because they have almost 10,000 subscribers on their channel. It's only showing me channels with high subscriber counts, which seems kind of like an interesting way to go about it. Anyway, we are still streaming live here for as long as we can until we hit 100,000 subscribers. We're almost at 3.5 hours into this stream. Thank you for watching. This is going to be the longest, most boring stream in YouTube history by the time we're done. And I'll go home and my kids are like, "Father, who are you?" Like, I am, well, if they said father, I guess that doesn't really make sense. "Who are you?" I'd be like, "I'm your father." "We know you from the stream. We watched you on the stream." Okay. Oh, really? You live just outside of Poughkeepsie. I'm not spying. Okay, so what else do we have here? Favorite car? My favorite car you have is still the first gen Legacy. I really like that car. I don't know if I will ever get rid of it. Probably will at some point. But I like it too much to launch it into a pit on fire, so I'm not going to do that. But also, it's completely impractical for me to sell it because it's completely gutted, and there's no reason for nobody in the right mind would buy a car like that. But, I enjoy it, so I'll probably just keep it around as a snowmobile, if nothing else. No, never did the Turbo X back in 08, sorry. Don't have snow here by me in the Caribbean. Oh, wow. You love the snow videos. Actually, I'm glad to know that. I was kind of curious if, do only people in snowy areas like the snow videos? But apparently you like those. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. I did not know that anybody in the Caribbean would watch a snow video. But I think that's pretty awesome. Do your Jeep videos get good view counts? I'd love to see more Jeep content. No. Nope. No, they do not. Don't know why. I think they're actually pretty good videos, too. We don't do a lot of them, but the Gladiator. I got the Gladiator as one of the first people in the Northwest to get a Gladiator. Now, granted, it took them a while to get one up to us, but I felt Gladiator content would still do well. We did it through a number of tests. We covered features. I spent a lot of time filming that, and nobody watched it. Nope. So, yeah, c'est la vie. I'll continue to do Jeep content. I think what I need to do for Jeep content is I need to reach out to their PR guys, and I really need to thrash on one. I think that's what Jeep guys want to see. And I know the areas around here, and I know the guys to go out with for that. But I need to get an approval from Jeep corporate, and they need to send up a specifically configured vehicle for that. So, but I'll try to do that, and we'll see. I'm happy to do experiments. I continue to do BMWs. Nobody watches those reviews we do, but, I still do them. It's good to know what BMW is doing now. So Subaru, Hoon says Subaru was the best version of the Impreza. But, the best thing about the Subaru was that Subaru learned how to build cars better through their relationship with Saab. Directly thanks to the Saab tie-up that they did for a while back when they were selling the 92X. For those who didn't know, it was a rebadged Subaru WRX. Saab went in and upgraded their interiors, which they learned because Subaru was physically building those cars. So when Saab came in and made upgrades to the vehicle, Subaru had to manufacture with those upgrades. So they kind of showed them how to manufacture that higher-end interior. And liquid-filled engine mounts. That is from the tie-in with Saab. They didn't have those before, and that actually helped reduce the vibration of the Boxer motor. It isolated it from the driver cabin, so you didn't get as much buzziness with the motor. So it actually made the cars just generally much more enjoyable to drive from a comfort perspective. And so we can thank, even though Saab doesn't really exist anymore in that way, we can thank Saab for making Subarus better. Also, we can thank Toyota for making Subarus better because I don't think Subaru ever thought about doing anything practical like a light in the cup holder until Toyota invested in them and became minority owners of them. You had a Sport Combi. Okay, cool. Yeah. So Rev, you're commenting on my voice acting. The funny thing here is that that is how I kind of talk normally. No, that's not how I talk normally. Let me rephrase that. In normal conversation, I kind of do weird voices all the time. I just don't do it for camera because I don't think it's going to age well. It's just a weird tick I do in talking to normal people. I try to limit it on camera for the show, though. I find it's a little distracting, I think. Great French accent. Was that a French accent? Snow videos are awesome. I agree. They're super complicated to film, but I like them. And that's mostly because we have to trudge through snow to film, and it's cold, and everything takes twice as long to do, but I think the end result is worth it. For the Corolla, we actually filmed the hatchback last year, but I hated it. Not the car. I didn't feel... we didn't get the car for a week. We just had access to it when it was first available, like first available. And we just shot this real quick thing. We spent a couple hours with it, and the shoot was garbage, and I never wanted to use it and see it again. So we did film that, but the one that we did the proper shoot of is the sedan. I actually filmed that like 2 months ago, but I've been preempting it with stuff that I think is more exciting, like the McLaren, which nobody watched, and specifically like the Subaru snow videos. Those ones I'm trying to like fit, and even the snow video with the Range Rover, the Evoque that we just did. That one is preempted, basically, the Corolla review. So we will be putting that video out. It's roughed in the timeline. I just have to finally script it. And then I think that's actually all I have to do is script it into a final on it, and it's pretty much ready to go. But we might be doing the F350. Basically, I have a bunch of stuff that I filmed over the last couple weeks, couple months, like a month or so ago, that we'll probably be putting out over the next couple weeks. As I get more exciting like snow things, I'll be trying to like wedge them in between them, but we'll see how that goes. I might have some travel coming up, and then when I have travel, I have to pre-edit a video for the Tuesday videos, so I might be rolling that content into when I'm traveling. I got to figure out what my travel schedule is. People are giving up on FCA. The brand is still valuable, though. Which all-wheel drive was better, XWD or symmetrical all-wheel drive? But God, I haven't thought about XWD in forever. Was I truly impressed with the S209? S209. Come on. It's face detecting. There we go. S209. Anyway, was I impressed with it? Yes. The reason is for when you drive something. Okay, let's just imagine you've had cheesecake all your life, and you're like, "That's a good cheesecake. That's a good cheesecake. That cheesecake's not that great. That cheesecake's great." You're like, "Okay, whatever." Blah blah blah. Cheesecake. When you actually get the cheesecake, you have another piece of cheesecake, and you're like, this is just like every other piece of cheesecake. But then you eat it, and you're like, how did you make that cheesecake so good? It's just cheesecake. And I kind of feel that way with the S209. No, I didn't actually. I kind of felt that way with the S209. It was like, you think you know how that chassis can feel, and you think how that formula can drive. And then you drive it, and you're like, this is way better than this should be. This is an older chassis, and yeah, you guys have done all this stuff to it, but dang, it's like it's mind-blowing cheesecake. And so yeah, I was that impressed. Would I buy one? 68 grand is a lot for a car that is 1 foot tall, 1 foot wide. No, I mean, 68 grand is or was it 64 grand? I think it's 64 grand. 64 grand is a lot of money for a weekend track car. And that's really what I see it as. If I wasn't tracking it, I don't think it's worth buying it, because that's really where that car excels. It is a fantastic track car, and I feel like you could just blow the doors off it all weekend and it would be fine. And it's responsive, and it feels like you expect. It's really just an amazing car to drive. But for the cost, you have to consider they couldn't bring that over if they didn't charge that much, I think. I don't know what their bottom line is, but I don't imagine they're making a ton of money on it, considering how small STI is and how few of these cars they're bringing over. I think that I kind of wish this wing would fit on better. I kind of feel like that makes sense. And they're limited. There's not that many. It's the best one of these we will ever get. And then we're going to the new chassis probably, I would expect. I would be really shocked if they pop another one of these out before the new chassis. And so from that respect, I think that it will be, this car will be considered the absolute best Subaru of this era. And I think that's worth it if you're the kind of person that finds value in that. You can't judge it like a regular car, because like if you compare it to like other cars as a regular car, it's, you know, it's not great in many ways. It's an old chassis Subaru. It's fine. But really when you're pushing it and you're driving it, you're tracking it, and you're doing all the stuff like where you're driving it at the limit, it does things that street cars don't do. If you've ever driven a race car, you kind of know what that's like in a way, because race cars, oh drat, I just dropped the wing. Race car, don't want to lose that wing. Race cars, so you see guys drifting and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, they're awesome. And they are. I mean, I don't want to discount the capability of doing that. But if you try to do that in a street car is designed not to do that. It's designed not to rotate, basically, because they want you to crash head on, because that's where the crumple zone is. So to drive a car that is tuned for driving and not so much of the whole hitting of the crumple zone, or driving a car that's designed to do what it's supposed to do as a driver's car. And there's other cars that do that too. I'm not saying this is the only car that does it, but for the price range, I think this is one of the few cars that does do it for, you know, under 70 grand. To get that feeling is just, it's pretty remarkable. And outside of a race car or like a 911 or something like that, you just don't get that feeling. And I think that's who that car is for. And they're only building 209 of them. I mean, they're going to sell all of them eventually, or the dealers will hold on to them and they won't sell them. But for all intents and purposes, Subaru will have sold out the inventory at some point. Why not step up to a used GTR at that point? Do you want to use GTR? I honestly don't know how good used GTRs are in the market. It's kind of like the same. When we started this stream, somebody commented that, you know, buying a used STI is folly. Well, they didn't say that word, but that was the general gist. And yeah, it's like finding one that's not thrashed on is really hard. And as complicated as a GTR is, I'm not sure, do you want to buy a used GTR versus a brand new car? I mean, that's actually a serious question. I don't have the answer for that. I don't know. Let's see how we're doing on the count. That counter is still saying 99,900. Let's see what the actual counter is saying. We are at 99,987. 13 more subscribers. Oh, I can almost taste it. For those of you just tuning in, we are doing a live stream until we hit 100,000 subscribers. We are very close. In the meantime, I'm taking Q&A. I'm drinking lots of water. And when the time comes, I will be cracking into the bottle of gin. So let's look at some questions. It's kind of like waiting for the ball to drop, but you don't know when the ball's going to drop. Maybe it won't. Maybe everybody will desubscribe at the last minute. I commented on this earlier. Actually, when we did the press launch, Subaru gave all the journalists models of the cars that we were driving, which I think was pretty awesome. And we don't have any rule against taking these things, because this does not sway my opinion about something. I will not be swayed by a toy. But I think it's kind of great because it gives me something to show while I'm talking. There we go. Yeah. Okay, enough of that. Okay, let's go through some more questions because a whole bunch of questions have come in. Were you truly impressed? Oh, yeah, we already covered that. Have you thought about doing topical filler videos like winter tires or aftermarket products? Like filler videos, are you thinking like in between the Tuesday videos, like on off days? I think I'd rather... I don't know, it's kind of tough. I've thought about it. Trust me, I have thought about every kind of content you can imagine. And if you look at our history, you can probably see every kind of content imaginable. I mean, still one of our top 10 videos of all time was a poorly shot turbo install from 2010, I think. I shot it literally with a little Canon camera that also happened to shoot video. But for some reason, people keep watching it. I guess it's decent. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in probably 8 years. Yeah, we've done some install stuff. Install stuff is install stuff can be a hit or miss, I think, on interest. I was just looking at, Saab Kyle has gone to, he used to, for years, he did reviews, and then he switched to more of a kind of a build format with a lot of his most recent videos. And he seems to have some success with that. I don't know, maybe he's happier doing that kind of content. But his views have actually gone down pretty substantially as far as what his dailies are like. This is all publicly available information. And I don't obsess over anybody. I just happen to try to keep I do kind of keep tabs on what everybody's doing, because often with YouTube, if you're having you put out a video and nobody watches it, you're like, well, is it just me, or is nobody watching right now? And so you can kind of see what competitors. You can see what other channels are doing based on, their overall trends. And so I just happened to notice that today, that I was like, oh yeah, he switched up his format several months ago. How are those doing? Oh, they're doing okay. They don't seem to be lighting the world on fire. I do like doing builds and stuff like that. The problem is just they're hugely time consuming. And mostly it's the sitting around waiting for the next thing to shoot. For years, we shot tons of those when we were doing the Subaru stuff for the magazine, and the Mazda stuff too, because we did a whole Miata build, and actually an RX-8 build too. And just the downtime with working with text and that kind of stuff. We could do it ourselves to a certain capacity, but I feel like the effort is, I'd rather spend more time concocting interesting tests for new cars than doing that, I think. And I kind of feel like, if once we are producing as much of the real world driving test type stuff as we can, maybe we'll add some more stuff like that. But there's some other stuff I think that's lower hanging fruit that I'd probably go after first than doing installs and aftermarket. Whoa, holy crap. That just turned to 100,000. Excuse me, pardon my language. I couldn't have had that many actual subscribers yet. No, it's 99,990. Oh, no, dude, it's 100,000. We hit 100,000! Bombay. And? Don't drink and drive, kids. This is actually water. Wow, that was a big rush of subs all at once. Thank you, everybody, for making... I wish I had sound effects on cue. I don't. But thank you, everybody, for 100,000 subscribers. It took us... What year is it? 14 years. But we're finally here. So end of this year, hopefully we'll hit 200,000. That would be awesome. And the best news of all, I'll be able to pick up my daughter from martial arts, which I'm sure my wife will appreciate, because she gets out of class in about 20 minutes, and it's a 10-minute drive. So I am... Why did that just go to 99? Why did it do that? Did I have somebody desubscribe? Nope. The counter's just confused. Anyway, we did it together. Thank you. And it only took how many hours? 3 hours and 45 minutes. Awesome. Whew. Well, thank you, everybody. I'd like to thank everybody. I can't thank you guys. Will it stop doing that? It is so confusing and annoying. No, we hit 100,000. I'm sticking to that. I think the counter is just pulling data from different sources, and it's confused. But no, we definitely have hit 100,000. That means I finally get a check mark next to the driving sports name, which is great. Let me quickly tell my wife that there we go. Yeah. That yes, I'll get her. Tell my wife that I can pick up my daughter. And again, thank you guys. I can't thank you enough. It was a great 2019, And I am looking forward to a fantastic 2020. We got a whole lot of stuff planned. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. And also, thank you guys for joining our membership program. I mean, that helps pay for what we're doing, and I can't thank you enough. If you haven't checked it out, if you go to our page and click join on a web browser, it doesn't work on mobile, we give you some extra perks for helping us out, and with a monthly subscription. So thank you. Keep watching, and I'm out of here. See ya. Now, how do I shut this down? I'll shut it down from over here. Like I said,